Morning lives are kicking my ass. Kicking it up and down the street. When I meet the wizard, when I improve my worth, when I meet the wizard, what I have waited for since birth. By my looks, he won't be blinded. Do you think the wizard is dumb? Or like Munchkin, so small-minded? Say to me, I see who you truly are. Girl on who I can rely. Sorry. What's up? I'm here to debate. How y'all doing? What's poppin'? Check Cash App. I got you. Good morning. Let's start the day right. Thank you, Vile. Held in such high esteem, the wizard and I. Happy Saturday morning, squad. You're not late. We just started. This is the first time I've been live all morning. How are y'all chilling? Why did they cast Ariana and not me? Who knows? I'd make a great Glinda. I'm like popular. Yeah. I know about popular. Yo, Indigo, thank you so much for the subscription for your 14th month over on Twitch. It's not about aptitude or the way you're viewed. And goodness knows the wicked lives are lonely. Goodness knows the wicked die alone. No, this is just water. It's just the cup changes color. I don't like Gatorade. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like Gatorade. No, actually, I don't think Wicked should ever do like a gender bent casting. I think it's very important that the two leads are women. I think it's like super important, actually. Gatorade is not amazing. Gatorade it's not sweet enough for me. You know, same with Powerade. It's not sweet enough. All right. Some people are sending guest requests. If you're here to debate, let me know. Prime is nasty as shit. Prime is so gross. All right, let's see who's here to kick off a debate. And goodness knows.
Hey, bro.
What's up? You here to debate?
Why are you on the internet?
Are you here to debate? Are you here to debate? Are you here to debate? Great. What's your name, age, and pronouns? Great. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
I'm scrolling.
Great. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Why are you advocating?
Great. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Children.
Great. What's your name? Great. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
You're really on the
Great.
internet.
What's your name? Okay. If you can't answer the question, bye. I don't need to do an instant crash out. I got rules for the way I start my conversations. If you can't do it, bye. See you. I don't need you here. Instant emotion. Hello, you here to debate?
Yeah.
All right, what's your name, age, and pronouns?
My name is Allie Cat. I am 30 years old and I go by Peter.
Okay, what topic are you here to debate about?
What do you want to debate about?
Whatever's on the list.
Okay. communism versus capitalism. Geez, sorry.
Okay, what about it?
Why do you think that's better?
Because it doesn't lead to the hoarding of resources or the exploitation of the proletariat or the labor force or the working class.
I joined up here and then I realized I couldn't debate you because I agreed on everything. I was like, shoot.
Well, all right, then.
All right. Bye, boo.
Bye-bye. Oh, I didn't change what the YouTube. Oh, my bad. Let me change the YouTube. And goodness knows the wicked die alone. Well, we'll see if anybody else wants to debate. I'll open up the call-in line. So if anybody wants to call into the call-in line, that is going to be open right now. Yeah, I just updated the YouTube. So we'll see if we get any call-in debates, if anybody guest requests. If not, I'll just chill here. I've always been confused as what makes somebody trans their sense of masculine or feminine traits. Neither. It's just their internal sense of self. Doesn't necessarily have to be tied to any specific masculine or feminine traits. John, you can be racist in YouTube. I don't care. Goodness knows, although we can't die alone. What are some communist readings other than Marx and Engels? Once I get to some, I'll let you know. I haven't read much past Marx and Engels. Well, that's somewhat not true. It's just current theory is really rough. Go to Verso Books and just look at their section on theory. They have a bunch of good stuff. You read Lenin? Not really, no. Just bring back the gaming in the background. I just am running so much stuff on my computer that there's just no space. My entire main screen is taken up by things, so there's no space to run the gaming. There's just literally nowhere to run it. What's up? You here to debate?
Not really. I just had a few questions about communism.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
What year were you born?
2005.
Okay. What are your questions?
I just I don't I kind of understand the concept sort of, but I just don't really know how it would work.
What do you mean you don't understand the what do you mean?
Could you kind of explain it to me?
Explain the whole of communism to you?
Well, I kind of get it, sorta.
Okay, I'll just give you the very basic rundown. Okay, a stateless, moneyless, classless society in which everything that is needed to create goods and services is owned collectively by the community. So there's no private business owners.
So we just. I mean, it sounds good in theory. I just feel
Just feel like what?
I don't know. People aren't really that nice. I feel like it wouldn't really work.
You feel like it wouldn't really work because people aren't nice? Oops. Hold on. Oh shit. Hold on. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Say what were you saying? Hello? Hello? Okay. Yeah, no. Somebody said to put Subway Surfers on in the background, so I'm gonna pull up Subway Surfers. We'll just bring somebody else on. If you just stay, if you're in the live to the person who just said that, if you just stay, you'll hear us talk about communism eventually. Hello, you're here to debate. All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
DC Ian,
Age.
39.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
39 from Houston, Texas.
Okay, you're a little hard to hear. You're a little hard to hear. Can you get a little closer to your microphone?
How about that? Can you hear me now?
A little bit. What are you here to debate?
Sorry, I just switched off my headphones. What was the question?
Yeah, that's way better. What are you here to debate?
Let's do gender affirming care for minors.
Gender affirming care for minors. Sure. What's your issue with it?
I don't have an issue with it except for until it goes past puberty blockers.
What would be the
For
issue with
minors.
what would be the issue with like HRT?
What does HRT stand for?
Hormonal replacement therapy?
It's my understanding that hormonal replacement therapy actually can have a lasting effect beyond when they're started, whereas puberty blockers, once a person comes off of them, they'll essentially go through puberty as if they were not on them.
Yeah, hormonal replacement therapy is supposed to have a lasting effect. That's the point of it.
Yeah, so the issue I think there is, I understand that hormonal replacement therapy in a sane state would require at least one doctor and the parents or the guardians of the child to consent, and then the child to be obviously on board as well. But the issue is, I think if the person is, there's been history of like someone being 15 or 16 years old wanting to do something that is permanent and then changing their mind like a year later.
Okay. Do you
And I
think
think
do you think that there's instances of this happening to a statistically significant degree when it comes to minors who are getting
I think it's tough
HRT?
to yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I think it's tough to for any of this to be statistically significant, just because first of all, like the T community, especially at that age, is already kind of a small population, and then we're taking an even smaller subset of that population.
That wouldn't get rid of statistical significance because we would do statistical significance per capita, so it would be based on the population size.
Okay, but I mean, still, it would take us years to find a sample size that. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe there's a sample size that's large enough already, but yeah, I think it just doesn't make sense to me with regard to we haven't had a lot of children transition using things like surgery. The case that I'm thinking of was surgery. We've already had at least one that I know of regret their decision and want to reverse it. So I think with the way that mental states are for teenagers,
The regret rate for gender affirming surgery is about 2.2%.
okay, yeah, I think that's significant enough to not do it. Especially
Okay, so then we shouldn't do knee surgery either.
no, I think it's different
The
than knee
regret
surgery.
how the regret rate for knee surgery is 26%. If a 2.2 regret rate is statistically significant enough for us to not do a surgery, we shouldn't do knee surgery, right?
The regret rate for knee surgery is 26%, but so what you're identifying there is the probability What is not encapsulated there is the hazard. The hazard
Knee
of
surgery is permanent and can lead to like lasting effects such as pain and stuff like that.
Sure, I understand. But I think the hazard of knee surgery, even with pain that is lasting, is not as high as the hazard of I have transitioned to a different gender and I regret that now and I want to go back.
Can you tell me what the quote unquote hazards are from HRT, from like being on HRT for too long? Like what specific things will be changed permanently that will ruin your life for your future?
I honestly don't know what the
Interesting.
It was my understanding that the change is permanent and that the change manifests itself when the person if the person wanted to transition back to the gender that they were transitioning away from originally.
Interesting. So you know that the change is permanent, but you don't know what specific effects are the permanent changes, like what specifically changes permanently.
No, I don't know off the top of my head what specifically changes permanently, but I think what is important, or what is, I think what's important is that it's a permanent change from a position or from a person that was making the decision when they were a minor.
Okay, so minors shouldn't be able to make any decisions that may lead to permanent changes?
No, I didn't say that. I mean, we already identified that knee surgery has a probability of 26% with what I consider to be a high hazard of, or a lower hazard comparatively, making the risk comparatively lower as well.
What changes should we allow minors to make that are permanent? What would be the symmetry breaker here? What things should be allowed and what things should not be allowed that end to permanent change?
Mm-hmm. It's a very specific question. I think we would have to go. I don't have a system which I can cleanly say, oh, these should be allowed and these should not. What I can say is I do think that gender is something that is like very is obviously personal. It's very like close to a person's identity and who they see themselves as and who they are. And that's why, honestly, I think people that see gender and people moving through society and the gender that they want to be, you would think that you would have people that would not want minors to, or would be cognizant of the risk associated with someone transitioning as a minor and then wanting to go back because it's difficult.
What is the risk, right? You've parlayed that things, there can be some permanent changes, but what's the risk? What do you have to substantiate the harm? Something just changing does not substantiate harm. Like, what's the harm?
Sure, I think there's like probably some deep psychological harm that's associated with not being able to move through society in the gender that you identify as, and we've seen that already just in T people in general when they're not allowed to move through society in the gender that they identify with.
So wait, the actual harm would come from not being able to transition then?
No. The actual harm would be coming from transitioning and then not being able to go back to the gender that this person identifies as.
Wait, so you recognize that there is a harm that does happen when somebody's not able to identify as the gender that they are, but you're saying because 2.2% of people, honestly, the actual regret rate for like HRT is like 1 to something, 2.2 is for bottom surgery, because there is harm in not being able to identify for 2.2% of the population, that 97% of the population should suffer that harm.
No, I don't think that they're going to suffer the harm because with puberty blockers, they are able to move through society in the gender that they identify with, even if they have to wait a few years before they can do anything permanent to their bodies.
Okay, do you think puberty, like when we talk puberty blockers and pubertal suppressant and the like, how long do people typically stay on pubertal suppressant when they're doing it for gender affirming care?
As my understanding, that's like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it's typically 12 to 24 months, right?
Okay.
So we're saying instead they should be on them, what? If somebody starts getting severe gender dysphoria, they go on puberty blockers at like 14, they should now be on them for 4 years, give or take?
Actually, I'm light on knowledge there. I would want to. I think what I would want to know is there harm in being on them for 4 years?
Interesting.
That
Let's say
is not
there is.
associated.
Let's say there is. What now? What do they do?
Yeah, I think at this point,
Sorry, hold on. Go ahead.
yeah. So I think at this point it would so the transition is identified early, or the gender dysphoria is identified early, and the person wants to transition earlier or earlier than some. Then this might just come down to at 16, it's between the doctor, the parents, and the child.
Okay, so they're not allowed to transition until they're 16.
Yeah, I might lower the age if the person wants to identify as the opposite gender or a different gender, excuse me, then at an earlier age than say 15 or 16.
So they go on pubertal suppressants when they are. Sorry, what age are we saying here for pubertal suppressants? What age is your cutoff for that?
Pubertal suppressants would be more of an event-driven timeline, is when they would go on those, and that would be when the person identifies as the.
There still needs to be an age thing. So pubertal suppressants would be used around Tanner stage 2. So there still needs to be an age, because the problem is you can't go on pubertal suppressants after you've undergone puberty, and you can't go on them before you go through puberty. So there would still be an age component here.
Sure, yeah. So, but it's an age component, but that age is going to be different for everyone based on the events of both identifying as a different gender than they are and entering puberty. So once those two things happen, if they, I think I see what you're saying. You're saying that, okay, so if the person happens to enter puberty at an age that is, say, 13, and they've already identified that they do not, and they've already decided they do not identify as the gender that they are, then I think you would be on pubertal suppressants for as long as possible, then turn the decision over to the parents, the child, and the doctor.
Why can't we just
or
turn that
doctors,
decision
and then-
over to the parents, child, and doctors whenever that decision needs to be made? Why do we need to have some form of waiting period so that this person now has to basically stay in a prepubescent body while all of their friends are going through puberty?
Understood, yeah. I think if they don't enter puberty until they're like 15, then we might be able to get them closer to the stage of adulthood before they make a decision that has what I consider to be, or what I would think to be a very high risk decision, given.
But you
Again,
haven't, just FYI, you haven't been able to substantiate that risk. You've just said that there's permanent changes, but the permanent changes don't substantiate a negative, right?
Right.
Especially
And we
again
won't be
when we
able-
look at regret rates, and we have regret rates for even for things like HRT and things like that. So when we look at specifically when we look at like the largest cohort study that we have, it was the only desistance. It was about. Hold on, let me pull it up here. Only about 1% of youth who were prescribed puberty blockers or hormones desisted. Only 1%. So it doesn't happen that they do tend to desist. That's just not a thing that actually happens. So what we're doing is we're going to force a bunch of people to suffer through something that you agree is suffering, which is having to identify having the phenotypic representation of your body match with something that is not your the gender that you identify as, because of something that you believe is harmful that you can't substantiate the harm for.
Yeah, no, and I don't think the rate does not fully encapsulate the risk. Like I said, I think that the risk is encapsulated fully by both rate and the hazard associated with.
It is only a risk if you detransition. If you don't detransition,
Right.
those changes are not a risk. So the rate would absolutely encapsulate the risk.
No. I mean, yes, but you could have a 1% chance of something happening with a low hazard, and then that might be a low risk. Or you can have a 1% chance of something happening with like a drastically bad hazard. And then that risk would be higher than the comparatively low risk that I discussed earlier. So, and I think what would inform the hazard here would be data that we don't have yet.
How would we get that data?
I think what we would have to do is study for the people that transitioned early, then went back. We would have to study the effects on the psychological effects, the emotional effects,
The people that
mental effects.
transitioned and then went back. So we'd have to study the 1 to 3% of people to determine if we should allow treatment for 97% of people.
Yes, I think I would. Before we know how bad that hazard is, I think we should tread lightly.
Yeah, I disagree. And I think the reason I'm going to disagree is because, again, you still haven't been able to substantiate the harm. You just keep saying there is harm without really parlaying what that harm is. You've said the harm is that there are permanent changes. Again, things like knee surgery can have permanent changes. Things like chemotherapy can have permanent changes. There's so many medical decisions that can have permanent changes that we don't remove the ability to receive just because the regret rate is 2 to 3%. So I would just say until you can substantiate that a little more, there.
Well, and I think I thought it was clear that we're not going to be able to substantiate what the harm is until we study what happens to people emotionally, psychologically, and mentally when they transition and then decide that they want to transition back.
We have these.
We have that data.
Yes.
Okay.
The data is that they don't tend to transition back. That's the data. Is they
No,
don't
they don't
actually
tend
tend
to.
to
I'm not talking
transition
about the people that don't the people that don't transition back. I'm talking about of the people that do transition back. What are the mental, psychological, and emotional effects associated with transitioning back?
Yeah.
Meaning, what is the harm that occurs when transitioning back?
That we also have. We've got plenty of detransitioners who've explained this. And again, overall, it's a benefit and risk analysis. So you make a benefit risk analysis with your kids about whether or not you should be giving them this treatment based on like their mental state at the time, typically. And we've seen from gender affirming treatments for youth that it can lead to a drop in suicidality and depression of like 70%. So it's important that we don't remove these because they're one of the only treatments that work for severe gender dysphoria. And by saying, again, that because 3% of people might regret this, we have to remove this treatment from 97% of people, that just doesn't work logically.
Does the suicidality drop in the same way if there is only a social transition and not a physical one?
No.
Okay. All right. I need to get smarter on the data.
Okay.
But yeah, I appreciate it. I think I learned something. So.
All right. No problem.
Have a good one.
You too. I'm playing Tetris while I debate. TikTok froze during all that? Like during that whole thing? TikTok was frozen? Oh, shit. Why did no one tell me? Or did you guys try to tell me and I just didn't see it? Okay, let me reset the TikTok. I've heard it said that people come into our lives. I'd also open the call-in line. So the call-in line is open if you want to debate. Hello, are you here to debate?
I just want to hear you yell, mustard! One time, that's all.
Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, sir. My name is Lozano Francis. I am 35 years old. I am out of Eugene, Oregon.
Okay, what's your pronouns, please?
I identify as him, he.
Okay. What are you here to debate about?
I do like your topic. So the one I want to talk about is trans men and women are men and women, and the gender affirming care for minors. Because I do feel like there is harm, but I don't think he understood where you were directing it. So at least let me address that question because it was eating at me. But I do believe that the harm comes from not only a social aspect, but from the familial. Because when I was living homeless in California, I heard mi- a million stories of men who were trying to transition and didn't outright immediately expose that. And while they were selling themselves on the street, they put themselves at risk of getting killed because they were too ashamed to actually be who they were. Not only that, from a psychological standpoint, you get this, confusion on sexuality, on whether or not you're gay or straight when you make your transition, as far as changing your gender. And as far as minors are concerned, because their brains are so malleable and so easily influential, and they're still trying to figure out their own identities, it makes it much more difficult for them to lock down who it is that they're trying to be, because they're supposed to be in the fluid stage and not in the permanent permanent stage of this is who I am, because not everybody in middle school, high school knows exactly who they are, and it isn't until they become well into adulthood that they figure out who it is they really are.
Okay, so I want to correct you on a few things. One, trans women experience more violence when they are out than when they are in the closet. They experience more violence when they are out. Men tend to target them more when they know that they are trans. So this idea that they were experiencing violence because they are hiding who they really are is just not true when we look at like the numbers and we look at like the actual statistics behind the harm that trans women experience. Second of all, they're not men; they are women. So okay, well you said the opposite. So.
No. What I meant was in the early beginnings, because yes, those men that tried to change their gender, because I do believe that we haven't truly gained the ability.
They're not men.
assign.
They're not men. That's not how gender works. We don't need to like a special ability to change genders. That's just not how gender works. Like in our brains.
What about the chromosomes? Because
chromosomes have nothing to do with gender.
XY means males. If you're saying that.
That would be sex. That would be sex, not gender. That would be sex,
but if you're saying the
not gender.
cosmetic look makes them more of a gender than their chromosome, that's kind of defeating the purpose of
gender. Gender has nothing. Gender has nothing to do with
that.
Gender has nothing to do with what your chromosomes are.
Are you sure? Because
Yes.
I have an XY and it says I'm a male and I am a man. Now, if you're talking about the choice to
causation
say
and
whether or
correlation.
not you're a female or a male.
Causation versus correlation. You're correlating two things that don't have a cause to them. Gender is a neurosocial concept that refers to like sense of self. It does not refer to your amount of chromosomes.
Well, then let me ask you this: for the person that's seeking to be a real woman, or at least transition into a woman, what are the qualifications? Because real women have fallopian tubes, ovaries, a womb, and are able to reproduce.
Not all women have those things. Not all women have those things.
All women have them. Some of them
No, they
can't
don't.
actually use their women.
No, they don't. There are people who have. No, they don't. There are people. No, there are people with vaginal agenesis. They lack entire reproductive systems. They don't have fallopian tubes. They don't have. They don't produce eggs. There are women who are born without a vagina. So no, there are women who don't have this.
But that makes them a full-on woman because of their XX chromosome.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So you don't need a vagina or fallopian tubes or any of that to be a woman, correct?
I do believe you need those things, but what I am also saying is you still need your chromosomes to help with that identification. So while I do understand what you're saying, but what I'm also saying is this, that when it comes to the fact that when they were born from the womb and the doctor said, oh, it's a girl, even without the vagina, if their XX chromosome was shown to be there and he said
we don't karyotype babies when they're born. We're not determining if you're a woman or a girl when you're born because you have XX chromosomes. It's determined because of the phenotypic representation of your sex, and we just prescribe what your gender might be onto that. But that can be wrong and has been wrong, and this is where we get like people who are trans because the prescription of their phenotypic sex was incorrect.
It was incorrect. I mean, that's kind of hard to even swallow because my son was born with a penis, and I even cut, the umbilical cord.
Somebody having a penis does not make somebody a man. There are men
But
born without penis.
he
There's
is in fact a
there's
boy.
there
He is
somebody born without a penis can still be a man. You don't need a penis to be a man. Penis would just be a
But you do.
phenotypic representation of the male sex.
So balls and dick mean you're not a man.
Balls and
The
dicks mean
idea-
it is your phenotypic representation of the male sex.
Well, if it's the phenotypical representation of the male sex, that would mean it is insinuating that that is a male, point blank, period.
Great.
I mean, the evidence for
Can you do me a
scientists-
favor? Can you do me a favor? Can you read the first
What's
point
up?
I have on the board? Can you like read it out loud?
You mean the first line on top is you said trans men, women are men, women.
Fantastic.
Is that what you're talking about?
Fantastic. Yep. At what point is the word male in that line?
Well, I mean, there is no word male or female on
Right.
either one of those lines.
Do you know why? Because we're not talking about sex. We're talking about gender, which is going to be a different concept than sex. Your sex is split into three categories: phenotypic and genotypic and phenotypic sex. Your genotypic sex is going to be your chromosomes. Your phenotypic sex is the physical representation of those chromosomes, so your primary and secondary sex characteristics. And then gender is going to be your subjective perception of how that sex is oriented in your body and how and your just innate understanding of yourself. It's not determined by your sex. It just has a correlation to your sex in terms of it can be aligned or disaligned. You are cisgender, for example. Your gender aligns with your sex. Some people's don't.
Okay, I mean, I do understand that. And although I get the whole categorization, I just prefer to be a man. Like, I get that everybody wants to put everybody in a different category. I don't like being called cisgender because even when I was growing up, I understood the world was always different. So for me, if in all kinds of respects, if you could just call me, you are a man, that's what the ideology you were born behind. There's
no
I'm getting what
ideology
you're
here.
saying now.
Cisgender just means you're not trans. So if you're telling me you're not cis, then congratulations on coming out. I will be at your new gender reveal party and support you in whatever identity you agree with. But cis literally just means you are not trans. Are you trans?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trans.
Then you're cis.
But I don't mean
Just-
to argue that.
Just
I
like
mean,
just
you know,
like
it's
just
kinda-
like
it-
wait
it's
it's real simple too, because it's like, right, people accept categories all the time. You don't care that I call you a human, right? Because human just means you're of the Homo sapien species. So cisgender just means you're not trans. So there's no reason to dislike the word. The only reason people tend to dislike the word is because of its association and proximity to transness. So typically, if you're against the word, it's probably because there's some internalized transphobia going on.
Well, actually, it's not the trans thing. It's just when the LGBT community came out, I always feel like that everybody's getting grouped together. And while I believe everybody deserves to be who they are, including people who believe themselves to be born as the wrong gender, gender. I just feel like, I'm cool with just being on the outside of the outside category, just like being an independent party. But just like being independent, but not being in the independent party.
Calling you cisgender inherently puts you outside of the grouping, because we're saying that you are not a part of that group because you're cis.
Oh, I didn't realize they'd even gone that far into it, because the world has become such a hodgepodge of what's going on. But let's get back to the debate.
Well, I'm just going to say the letter C is not in LGBTQIA+, right? The letter C is not there. So that, like, by its nature, we're saying you're not a part of that. You're not inherently a part of that group.
Well, my mistake. I am open to being educated, and I do appreciate a lot of the new information. But let's get to the actual question. I do believe trans men and women are men and women. I do believe that 100%.
So do I. Trans men are men and trans women are women.
Huh?
I said I agree with the same thing. Trans men are men and trans women are women.
And then I was gonna say, but my thinking is kind of archaic. I'm on the phone with somebody. I'll talk to you in a second. Yes. My thinking is archaic. Obviously, because I got the whole gender and sex thing mixed up. I do, in fact, respect and believe that everybody should be called what they want to be called. That I am not even against. now that I understand what it is that I'm actually debating, I feel like I'm not even worthy enough to give you a debate, because I do believe that if a man believes himself to be a woman, then they, by every right, have that right to be called a woman. And if they feel like they should get gender affirming surgery, as well as start to dress and get those hormone shots and whatnot, by all means. Now, I do believe that there might be some harm when it comes to the fact that, they're not going to be reciprocated by those who are cis like me, only because for the cis standard of thinking, it's about reproduction, I guess, for me. Not for everybody, but
So
for my cis
the harm
standard
would
of
be that
thinking.
they're going to be bullied.
Yeah, most definitely bullied. Most likely might end up being killed and targeted. I mean,
So
think
why don't
of
we
the
instead
trans.
just like re-educate cisgender people so that they're not dicks?
The re-education isn't really that the problem. It's the parents
Well, it's
of
definitely the
those
problem
children.
because you didn't know this stuff either, right? And then we
And I'm a
educated
parent
you.
of a child, and I'm going to actually properly educate them thanks to you giving me the proper understanding. But I'm also a fluid person who's willing to understand and not just be stuck in his ways. But you're right. I think an education approach can be possible. I just don't know how that approach is going to be, because even though our society is now moving in such a way that things are starting to become more acceptable, you still have that iron grit way of thinking in other countries that's going to make it a little bit harder. Because if they end up coming to, the United States with that same hard, this is what it is thinking, then you'll end up with, a large number of people just targeting trans individuals because of their way of thinking and not understanding. And I think, education may be a start, but I also think it's important when and where you start the education, because I don't know if schools
It needs to be
should
started
or
in
should
school.
not do that.
School is the
Huh?
only place. School is the only place to do it. If we're saying that the reason why trans people are a danger is because cis people are inherently violent towards trans people because they refuse to be educated, well, then we would need to educate them, and the only place to educate them where they cannot be influenced by like bigoted parents would be a school.
I mean, yeah, but then those bigoted parents who have children in school would basically threaten the education of all kids in school because of what's being taught in the school. Like, I definitely agree the school should be the perfect grounds for them to get educated on, because that's what school was supposed to be. Well, not that's what school should be about. It's about learning, understanding, and being properly educated on the things that we don't have a full understanding on before we reach adulthood. But again, that's why it goes back to the parents, because a lot of those parents are so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but they're just so dead set in their ways from being taught. Just like I was taught, but I was, kind of open-minded. Like, I got
Wait,
lucky.
so again,
I'm not gonna lie.
the entire issue is not trans people. The entire issue is that cis people are violent when confronted with trans people.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that actually had that had those violent interactions with trans people. I got lucky
So
enough
that's
to
not an issue.
meet and befriend a trans person who's transitioning to be a woman, great woman. They haven't gotten the surgery yet, but really great person as well. Although I kind of worry because they have been creating babies, and I don't know if they're truly living in their trans lifestyle, or if they're tiptoeing.
Okay. The problem that you have right now is I think you have a really fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be trans. There's no lifestyle,
Yes, I do.
right? They're not living a lifestyle. They're just living the same way anybody else would be living, just as their authentic gender. And we look at trans. So for instance, if somebody's a trans woman, she didn't change to become a woman. She's always been the gender that she is. She was just pretending to identify as a boy or a man because she was afraid to come out. Right? So when we say that trans people are like oh, they're becoming men or they're becoming women. These would just be misnomers that lead to part of the stigmatization around them, because now you have people believing, oh, well, trans people are just men pretending, which is just not the case.
No, I mean, because I never had a problem with. I mean, yes, that you're right, 100%. Because I always assume that, you know, if you're going to, if you're trans in the lifestyle you're deciding, like if you're a man who feels like a woman, I always believed that also meant that you would inevitably end up a man. So obviously, I definitely have little knowledge on lifestyle. I haven't shown the interest in it, but I haven't shown a hate for it.
You did, but see how you did it again. The lifestyle. What lifestyle? What is a trans person doing that you don't do in your daily life? They go to the store. They buy groceries. They eat those groceries. They work. What's the lifestyle?
Well, see, I mean, when I mean by the lifestyle, I actually just mean living in their affirmed identity and whatever that pertains to them. Again, like I said, I don't
So
truly
do you live a
understand.
what's the cisgender lifestyle?
All right, so the way I identify it as is for let's say for and I'm just going to use an example. Let's say for a man who's living the trans woman lifestyle, my assumption would
Look,
be
you
that
did it again. Hold on, you did it again. You did
yeah,
it again.
I know. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm actually, you know, giving you my statement so you understand why I'm saying that. And I don't mean to be disrespectful because I also live a lifestyle as a cis man, you know, and it's smoking weed and all that. But anyway, in the way I see it is that the trans woman would either, you know, wear woman's clothes, you know, and generally try to live the lifestyle that women live while being in the body of a man. So go to nail salons, hair salons, go shopping with their best friends. You
named all things that men can also do, right? Men go to nail salons to get like I've tons of friends who are male friends who go and get fucking pedicures, right? Men go to get their hair done. Men go shopping with their best friends. How are these specific to women?
Well, see, I'm not talking about the standard pedicure because even I do that. I'm actually just talking about getting your nails painted. And I know
Some
there
men
are
do that
straight
too.
men who do that and rocks and
That's why I'm
rock
saying this
bands and
idea
whatnot.
that it's a lifestyle is just setting these things you're saying lead to trans people getting harmed. When you phrase things like this is what leads to them getting harmed. Because people believe, oh, when you imply something as a lifestyle, the implication is that this is some sort of choice. Nobody's making a choice to be trans, right? It's not a choice that they're actively making. They just are these things.
I mean, but I feel like everybody at the base of everything ends up with the choice. You either choose to be gay, you can choose to be straight.
No, you
I
can't.
mean,
You can't choose to be those things.
or you can't choose. So you're either born gay, straight. I mean, I feel like there's always an
Yes.
argument when it comes to
You're
gay and straight. I
absolutely
feel
born
like
that way.
the argument is open to those who believe they were born straight or gay, and those who believe they have the choice to be straight or gay.
There is
Like,
no choice here.
I
Let me
don't-
ask you a question. Are you straight or are you gay?
I'm straight.
Okay, so you could choose to be gay. How would you do that?
I'm saying if I, in the back of my mind, thought I might be gay and wanted to try the lifestyle, then I can choose to try that lifestyle of being gay. But I'm straight.
What is being gay? Like, what is being gay? What does it mean to be gay?
You like men. Like you're
Okay.
in relationships with men.
No,
Like I'm
no,
in a
'cause
relationship
you
with a
can-
woman, so I'm straight.
Wait, okay. So when you're being gay means you like men, right? So
As
let's
in
run
sexually,
a
like
thought experiment. Let's say I give you $1 billion to sleep with a man. You would do it, right? Like it's $1 billion. Like nobody would say no.
No,
You
I
wouldn't.
No.
You wouldn't
I
sleep
wouldn't.
with a man for
I've
$1
already had
billion.
this conversation with my friend. Huh?
You wouldn't sleep with another man for $1 billion.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't sleep with another man for $1 billion.
Let's say you do.
Bro, there's no amount of money on this planet that would convince me to sleep with another man for any amount of money. There's
Okay, I think
nothing
you need to
that could
work
be
on your.
offered to me.
I think you need to work on your internalized homophobia.
I don't have a homophobia. I would not be paid $1 billion to sleep with a man. That's just my firm.
Anyone
thing.
who would not take $1 billion to sleep with a man is crazy.
I mean, yeah, consider me crazy because money is not my obsession. Anybody that's willing to sleep with somebody for $1 billion is obsessed with financial money.
So there's nothing. There's
financial-
nothing anybody could do or say to convince you to sleep with a man.
No, there's nothing. Unless
Oh,
somebody
I thought being gay was a
unless
choice.
somebody in my family is being threatened by a terrorist, and they say,
Wait, I
"You
thought
have to
being-
sleep
I
with
thought
this
being
man
gay
or
was
we
a
gonna
choice.
blow your family up."
Wait,
Huh?
I thought being gay was a choice.
Again, that's why I'm choosing not to sleep with a man for $1 billion. I'm not
no-
choosing to sleep with anybody for
All
$1
right,
billion.
let's say there's a terrorist and they have your family hostage and they say in order for us to give your family back, you have to sleep with a man. You would do it that way, right?
Yeah, because I
Are
have
you-
no choice.
Are you gay now?
Yeah, I just slept with a man.
So for the rest of your life, people can say you were gay?
If I slept with a man, they're going to assume I'm gay. Period.
Did you
That's how
like the
society-
man? Were you attracted to the man?
Of course not. But my dick has to be
Interesting.
hard somehow,
I
right?
thought that being gay meant being attracted to men.
Hey, I'm not attracted to men, but you're trying to put me in
Okay.
a no-win situation.
Okay, great.
where a
So
terrorist
wait.
is saying,
So
"Hey,
wait.
sleep with
So
this
then
man
how?
or
So
your
then
family
why?
dies."
Wait, if you're not attracted to the man and you don't like the man, how are people going to call you gay?
You do know society is so fickle that they will call anybody gay after finding out any type of thing.
Yes,
I'm like,
society.
Oh, you slept with a dude?
Society.
You
Yes,
gay.
society is wrong. Yeah,
And
society's
so
wrong about a lot of
my
shit.
whole, huh?
I said society is
couldn't hear
wrong about a lot of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at how our society has started, but in comparison to the Greeks and during
Greeks-
their time,
The Greeks
they
were
more
super
open.
gay. They were super gay.
They were way more open, and I find that to be one of the things they hide in history until you get into college. They don't tell you that in high school. It's
Yeah,
not
they
until
should.
you
They
get to
probably
college that you
should.
find out.
They probably should. It would probably help normalize LGBTQIA plus stuff if we told people how open other societies used to be before ours.
Oh yeah, no doubt, 100%. I mean, even in Africa, they still practice that. I mean, it's funny because I think America was built off of the fact that some of these people didn't want to practice the things that was practiced in their own country.
I just want to point out that your claim has been that being gay is a choice, but it's been very, very clear that there is no way you can be influenced to be gay. If there is no way to influence someone to be gay, then it cannot be a choice.
And I understand that, but I also feel like there was always an argument because I even had a discussion with some friends in high school, and I always thought that being gay was a choice, and then they told me no, they were born gay because they had this thing in their brain that told them they were gay, and I never understood that. But I was like, okay, I guess there's the same thing in the back of my brain that says I'm straight,
Yeah,
So
sexuality is just an innate part of who we are. You can't control it.
So
For instance, there are straight actors who do gay porn. It does not make them gay. They're just working and it's a paycheck, right? They don't like men. They're not attracted to men, but it's a paycheck.
I can see that. I mean, it's just not the threshold that I could walk across. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't even be considered because that's not what I would do. But yeah, I mean, you can say that, and it's going to be hard for all. It's just
Okay, let me
I'm not
ask you a
gonna lie.
question. Let me ask you a
You're pretty
question.
great at this.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say there's a trans man. So this is somebody who was born a female but is now a man, and they look exactly like me. Me and them look identical. And you have sex with them. Are you gay or are you straight?
Okay. Born a woman, I want to say I was straight, but because I respect people who believe in the gender that they were meant to be, then essentially I would be crossing the gay zone.
Okay, so we agree that if you had sex with someone that looks like me, right, that would probably be a gay act, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't get past it if they're going through the whole gender assignment surgery.
E-
Once they
even if
get involved, I
even
can't
if they
do it.
have a vagina, even if they still have a vagina,
Yeah, that would
if they
really throw me
look
off. As
just
a matter of
like
fact,
me,
that confused me.
this is why our ideas of like what is gay, what is straight, what is, they need to shift a little bit, because when we're talking about attraction to someone, our attractions are not immediately to genitalia. Our attractions are to phenotypic representations of things. Like, right, when I look at a woman, the thing that attracts me is not in their chromosomes. It's not even their vagina. I can't see their vagina. I don't know what's going on down there. It's going to be an amalgamation of different traits that are typical in like any given society. So it's when we're just being like hard line in the sand about gay, straight, this, that, it doesn't really work anymore with the way that like we understand gender and like human attraction.
Yeah, no doubt. Because believe me, I grew up with the whole idea of seeing the whole gay straight war, so to speak, or debates pop up, and not having any understanding, and then get in high school just to be introduced to it again, and still not having any understanding, but trying my best to be, accepting and not judgmental, because I don't know what their reasoning is, or if there is a reason behind it. Like it's just one of those things. But I will say this: while you're obviously more knowledgeable than me, and while you're right, gender is something. I still believe that if mankind would take the time to advance our sciences to the point where we can make it for a person to switch genders efficiently.
But again,
Like,
it's not about switching genders.
I
When it
know,
comes
I know,
to,
I
well, wait,
know,
but
I know.
if you
Let me
know,
just
then you
finish.
gotta stop.
I'm just,
I know, but
I'm
whenever you say this, it instills this idea that trans people are changing their gender somehow. That's not the case. The only thing they change is the phenotypic representation of their sex. That's all that changes. Their gender identity remains consistent.
So if we made nanobots, if we advanced our science to get nanobots to make a phenotypic change possible to where they can physically look like they feel on the inside, I think that would be a
We
much grander
we don't need
way of approaching it.
nanobots. We already have this. It's called HRT. It's called pubertal suppressant. It's called gender reassignment surgery. We already have the technology to change those phenotypic representations of their sex.
Yeah, but I feel like the essence of it, so reproductive organs is what I'm referring to, not just the
Some people may want reproductive organs because giving birth may be something that helps confirm them in their like femininity, or confirm them in their like womanhood. I'd say if you're only giving birth because you want to like confirm your gender, I'd say there's probably something wrong with that, like in general, just because like it's kind of a selfish reason to bring somebody into the world. But when it comes to reproductive organs, I don't believe reproductive organs to be a thing that makes you a man or a woman, like, right? So I would say like whatever.
Really now?
Like,
I mean,
yeah, really.
yeah, I get what you're saying, because everybody cannot stand firm in an identity in which they themselves accept. But I feel like, what if those who are trans are looking for that affirmation and would love to be able to actually,
Yeah, if we ever hit the technology, that's fine. Like if we ever get the technology that we can, I mean, we're working on womb transplants, our uterus transplants for trans women right now. If we ever get the technology that we can change their reproductive organs, sure. But the change of that reproductive organ doesn't make them a woman. It just helps it just helps alleviate the distress that not having the phenotypic representation of their gender causes them. It doesn't now magically make them a woman, right? It's just to alleviate distress.
Yeah, but what about those ones that get the surgery and then they felt like they made a mistake? Like,
That would be
2%
of people.
have?
That's
Huh?
2% of people.
Yeah, I know. Because I was hearing you tell it to the other guy. What I was going to say is, wouldn't it be cool to be able to have nanobot technology to where if they feel like they made a wrong decision, the nanobots will allow them to revert back to the original instead of
Yeah, sure.
outright losing.
Sure. It would
You know,
it would
I
be
mean,
great.
that's what
It would be
my way
great
of
to
thinking
be
is,
so
well,
advanced in medical technology that we can press a button and your sex can change. It would be great to have that.
and that's what I'm really wanting
I'd
to focus
probably do it
on
for a
as
day or
far as
two
the
just to see
trans.
how it feels, right? It's just like
I mean, that's the essence of my argument is the fact that I believe that this is such a possibility that, you know, trans men and women existing is real, but I believe it's such a possibility that if we had super schools that were focused on, you know, making our sciences and making sure that our biology, all that is advanced to the point and degree that, you know, we don't have that 2% regret at all. You know, just that 2% regret isn't big at all. That's a small number compared to the 98%. The 98% is doing great. I'm just worried that that small 2% is going to be overlooked as, you know, what's that word I'm looking for? I can't seem to find the words that I'm looking for. Minority. That's it. I feel like the small 2% is in fact a minority, but they're going to be overlooked as an even smaller, you know, minority where it's like, oh, well, 2%, that's fine. You know, we still got 98%, and I want, you know, everybody to achieve their happiness. And so I don't know why I got on here besides the fact that you're bringing up great topics, and I just wanted to try to express that I don't disagree. And yes, obviously, my education on trans men and women is lack thereof, little to none. But my hope for, you know, society is like, you know, if we advanced in our sciences, then I feel like with nanobots, couldn't nobody get, you know, upset with a trans man, trans woman, or anything of that nature, because, you know, now nanobots have leveled the playing field, and that's what I really hope our focus ends up being on, is because nobody should be prosecuted, persecuted, killed, beat on, or anything of that nature for how they feel they should represent themselves, period, you know. But I do enjoy the education because I don't know how many people are waiting in line to talk to you, to have a debate. I will admit you have thoroughly beat me in this debate. I had no headwind, although I'm pretty sure this wasn't a win-loss type of thing. But I definitely appreciate the education, the new information that I've been informed about. It's given me a new perspective on an outlook on thinking, and now I'm going to have to do some research on better understanding and on educating myself, because that's the important part. I need to know better instead of just prejudge.
all right. Well, no problem then. Thanks for calling in and chatting.
Hey, man, thank you. I am so glad I got to talk to you. You were one of the first streamers I had a chance to talk on the phone, and I have to say I very much enjoyed it. It was a very good learning experience, and I have to say you blew my mind, buddy. You blew my mind.
All right. Well, have a good rest of your day, friend.
You too.
He a little confused, but he got the spirit. I wasn't sure what he was debating for a second there. I was like, are we just agreeing? I forgot to put my light up to add some background lighting. There's somebody that's been waiting in the TikTok, so I'm going to go to TikTok, then we'll go back to the call-in line. What's up? You here to debate?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Austin. I am 29. I'm a male.
Okay, but what are your pronouns?
Him. He.
Great. What are you here to debate about?
I mean, I disagree with fundamentally every single thing that you have on there. I just want to start though. I guess the easiest way for us to find common ground is through like medical terminology. So I'm going to start with a simple definition. And I'm not comparing this. I'm just using this as a definition for us to find common ground. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, so the term is clinical lycanthropy. Are you familiar with that term?
No.
Okay, so clinical lycanthropy is it's a very rare syndrome. It's basically in which somebody believes they can like transform into a werewolf, or they can become, you know, a dog, or that their spirit is a sheep, or what have you. Does that make sense?
Sure. What's this have to do with any of the topics?
Okay, so it's like that's a known clinical what they would refer to as a delusional misidentification syndrome, right? Would you agree with that?
Sure. What's that have to do with the topics?
Okay, good deal. So now, if we're talking about somebody who believes they're a werewolf, right? Like we all know they're not a werewolf, right? Like obviously they're not a werewolf. They have something that's wrong with them. They need medical treatment. Maybe they need some type of psychiatric evaluations, right? Whatever the case may be, right? But we can agree though that they're definitely not a werewolf, right? Even though they believe they're a werewolf.
Great. What does this have to do with the topic?
Do you agree with that though?
Sure. Werewolves don't exist. So yeah, it makes sense that they
Good
can't be
deal.
something
Yeah.
that
So then
doesn't
how
exist.
can you tell me then that a man can become a woman,
I don't
right?
think
And
men
does
become
not
women.
have the same and then does not have the same delusional misidentification syndrome.
Because men don't become women.
So if somebody is born a biological male, right? They're born with the organs of a male, and they're classified as a male at their birth, and they grow up being a boy, right? And then
Could you do me a
feel
favor?
like-
Could you
hold
read?
on.
Could you do me a favor? Could you read the first topic on the board out loud?
Trans men or women, or men and women. Yeah, I mean they so
Right.
a trans
Can you do me a
man is
favor? Can you
woman,
tell me
and
where?
a
Can you
trans
tell me?
woman is a
Yeah,
man.
if you don't understand how like typing works, that's fine. Can you tell me where in that sentence that I said the word male?
Well, men would be indicative of male, right?
Interesting. You
It
believe
means
that?
male.
Man just means male. Interesting.
Well, men would mean that it is a male, right? Correct.
Sure. What's the definition of man?
Born with a penis.
So you wanted to have a conversation about medical definitions, but your definition of man is dictionary. I'll go in man, noun, born with penis. That's what the
Well,
definition.
I'm just kind of dumbing it down for you because you didn't know the definition of clinical lycanthropy.
Sorry. Let me ask you
You
again.
also
What's the
don't-
definition?
you
Let me ask
also
you again.
don't-
What's the definition of man?
So again, I've already given you a simple definition, right? Like,
Okay, so great. So if a man is born, let's just confirm here. If a man is born, let's just confirm here. Let's just confirm here. You haven't actually, because you brought up something that doesn't exist. Let's just
Clinical
confirm
lycanthropy
here.
is where a
No,
man
werewolves.
believes that he's a
Werewolves
dog,
don't
you
exist.
believe
Stupid.
that you're a girl,
No,
it's a
werewolves don't
difference.
exist. Stupid. Because
Okay,
werewolves
so
don't
I
exist.
mean,
dummy.
neither do
werewolves
hybrid
exist?
human beings.
Do werewolves exist? Dumb man. Do werewolves exist? Yes or no?
Do
Do
does a
werewolves
man
exist? I just
transform
need to know
into
if
a woman
werewolves exist. Yes or no? Do
I mean,
werewolves
under
exist? Yes or no?
Under your assumption, I would have to say
Do
yes.
werewolves
Like, if I was
exist?
living in
Yes
your
or
brain,
no? You believe
prove they
werewolves
don't,
exist?
right?
You believe
Yeah.
werewolves exist?
Yeah, prove they don't.
Okay, so why would I talk to somebody who believes in werewolves?
I mean, you believe in a man turning into a woman, right?
Yeah. Did you hear me when I answered you earlier when you said that? What was the thing I said to you? When you said that the first time, what did I say back to you?
So, but here's the thing, though,
No,
right? Like
when,
you're saying,
when you said that the first time, what did I say? We're gonna do this like it's a classroom, apparently, because you aren't listening. When you said this the first time, what was my response?
some jibber jabber about how they're not a man.
So you weren't listening. So you're here in bad faith. You're not here to actually have a conversation because you're not listening to the things that I'm
I'm
responding
just summing
to.
up what you said. You were basically
No, I don't ask you to
summarizing.
sum up
You
what
never
I said. I
the
didn't
word
ask you to
male.
summarize what I said.
You were
What
basically saying that you never
specifically
heard
did
the-
I say?
You were saying that you never said the word male.
Nope.
And you were that. So you never said that.
When you told me that men become women, what did I respond to that with?
Man, I don't remember what it was.
Yes, because
I
you're
was
not
too-
because you're not here to actually have the conversation.
bro, you haven't disproved anything that I've said. You're just
You
trying
haven't
to
said
go
anything.
around
You
the
haven't
point.
made any
You haven't-
claims.
You haven't rebutted
You haven't
anything that I
made. You
gave
have
I
not
gave you
made
literal
any
clin-
claims.
Okay, so
You've
okay,
quite
so
literally
let me
not
make
made a claim.
So
Make
let me
a
make
claim.
a claim for you. Medically,
Go ahead.
clinically, lycanthropy is classified as a type of delusional misidentification syndrome, and this could also be tied into those who believe that they are a
Substantiate
man
that.
who were born a woman.
Substantiate it.
Okay, so how can it? How can you? How can
I
you
didn't. I'm not. I
How
don't have to.
can you?
I don't have to
Oh,
desubstantiate your
I
claim.
understand now. Whenever
You have
somebody
to
comes up with an argument that you
substantiate your
can't
claim.
rebuttal,
You're not
when
making an
somebody
argument.
comes
A
up with an
claim is not an
argument you can't
argument.
rebuttal,
A
you're
claim
like,
is
"Oh,
not an
substantiate
argument.
it."
Do you know the difference
give me
between a claim and an
clinical,
argument? Do you know the
Okay,
difference
so
between a
it's
claim
not
and an
that
argument?
is a valid argument. That is
Do
backed
you
by
know the difference
medical
between a
terms.
claim and an argument? I don't think you do.
A claim is one that can't be backed up. An argument is
No.
something that I can argue until I'm blue in the face,
No,
right? And I
stupid.
can argue this
This
until
is how
I'm blue
I.
in the face.
This is
Just
how I know
because
you're dumb.
retarded.
Let me
Listen,
tell
just
you.
because you're
Yeah,
dumb
great.
and you
Okay,
voted
yeah,
for
yeah. I know you
Kamala,
want to
right?
slur. I know you want to slur. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Let me explain to you the difference between a claim and an argument because you are genuinely dumb. A claim would be a position you have on a certain thing. So your claim is that being trans would be akin to this medical delusional blah blah blah. An argument
your
is
claim.
how.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
I can
stop
say the same thing
talking.
about everything
Interesting,
you say.
interesting. You're gonna stop talking. So your argument would be how you substantiate this to be true. So substantiate it to be true. You've made the claim. Now back up the claim with an argument.
Gotcha. So let me reword it for you, right? So my claim would be that a person who is born as a sex of a male can never become a woman. And my proof backing that up, right, would be that in the similar instance of clinical lycanthropy,
It's not a
where
substantiation.
people are known to think that they are something else,
It's not a substantiation.
it is classified as misidentification
substantiation.
disorder.
It's not a
syndrome.
substantiation.
Okay, so that means how is it
You've
not
still not
okay,
substantiated?
so
Let's
have-
just break it down super easy. Let's break it down super easy. You don't believe trans
so
men can
basically,
be?
you
We're gonna
can't
break it.
argue
We're gonna break
against
this
it.
down
You're like,
super
"Oh, wait,
easily.
this guy's
We're gonna
got
break
me,
this
and so
down
I'm just
super.
gonna
Nope.
call
We're
his
gonna break
claim
this
not
down super
substantiated."
easily, and when you look really dumb, it's gonna be great. Your claim is that trans men cannot be men. So let's just start simply. That would mean that there is a necessary condition in order to be a man that trans men do not meet. So because they do not meet this necessary condition, they cannot fit into the category of man. Correct?
Correct.
What is the necessary condition?
Can they get a woman pregnant?
So getting a woman pregnant is the necessary condition to be a man.
The ability to be born with that ability, yes. If
Great.
you were born
So
with
if
the
I'm-
ability to get
If I'm
to
born
produce-
exactly as I am now, but I have penile agenesis, so I lack a male reproductive system, am I a man or a woman?
so that means that you have a vagina.
Nope. I lack a male reproductive system. There's nothing there. So what am I? Am I a man or am I a woman?
That you're talking about like a very minute thing.
Oh,
here,
great.
buddy.
So
Like,
let's
you
go
can't-
back
you
to
can't say-
definitions because
So-
apparently
so
you're
hold
too
on, hold on,
stupid.
hold on, hold on,
What's the
hold on, hold on,
definition of
because here's the deal,
necessary?
right? Hold on,
I'm sorry,
here's the
what's
deal,
the
right? 'Cause
definition
you're
of
arguing-
necessary?
hold on, stop,
I'm
stop,
sorry,
stop,
what
stop,
is
stop.
the
You're
definition of
arguing against
necessary?
my argument.
What is
You're
the
arguing
definition
against
of
my argument,
necessary?
saying that my
What
argument
is the
like
definition
a
of
minute thing.
necessary?
You're bringing up
What
a very
is
minute
the
argument.
definition of necessary? What's the definition of it?
Are you are you
What's
literally
the
stupid?
definition of
I
necessary?
feel like you're like actually retarded.
What is? I'll ask it again. What's the definition? You can slur all you want. I'll ask it again. What's the definition
Dude,
of
you couldn't
necessary?
even give me the definition
What's
of
the
clinical lycanthropy.
definition
You
of
don't think I understand what the
necessary?
definition of
What's the
necessary is?
definition of necessary? If you
Now
know
can't
it,
even
say it.
speak proper
If you know
English.
it, say it.
Listen,
If you know
listen,
it,
you're not
say
gonna
it.
get me in a
If you
gotcha
know
moment.
it,
I've already
say
got
it.
you in the
If
gotcha
you know
moment.
it,
You're
say it.
owned. I've
What's
already
the definition of
clipped this.
necessary?
Like, you're-
That's all I want to
you're
hear.
fucked, buddy.
All I want to
Like, I'm
hear is
literally
what's the
gonna put
definition
that
of
everywhere.
necessary.
You're
I don't
stumped. You
really.
cannot rebuttal the argument.
First of all, I'm literally streaming. It's
rebuttal the
already
argument.
out. I
I
don't
get it.
care.
I get
What's
it.
the
If you can't
definition of
rebuttal the
necessary?
argument, I get it.
I'm
Just
gonna.
say that.
I'm
Just
gonna. So here's
concede.
what's gonna happen. You're gonna be muted. The only thing I want to hear from you is the definition of necessary. If you say anything else, like the ugly piece of shit you are, you're just going to go back to the void. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. You're either going to tell me the definition of necessary or you're going to go back to the void. This is your only option right now. Yeah. Okay. So great. So you can't tell me the definition of necessary. So bye. Just so that chat knows now, I'll explain to chat why your argument is fucking stupid. Chat, necessary means it's something that is required, meaning you cannot be without it. So when you say, oh, yes, it's necessary you're able to give a woman birth, but even if you don't have that, you can still fit into it, then it's not fucking necessary, stupid. Fun fact, learn how words work, dumbass. So again, chat, also because he pulls out a rare disease that, what did Jesse say, that 43 people have ever had in the world? I don't give a fuck. Understand how words work. I don't know if you know this. There are 0 exceptions in a necessary. You can have 0 exceptions. Fun fact. Just chat, let me ask chat. Hey chat, How many exceptions can you have in a necessary? You tell me, chat. How many exceptions can you have in a necessary? Be Young, you want to talk shit about me hanging up. Be Young, how many exceptions can you have in a necessary? Go ahead and tell me. And if you say the wrong answer, you're getting booted for the rest of the stream. How many exceptions can you have in a necessary condition? The answer is 0. Because if you have an exception, then that thing is not necessary to be a part of that category. So when I asked him what the necessary condition was, and he named something, and then I bring up an exception, and he says, well, that exception, that's different. No, get the fuck out of here. I'm not playing this shit, bro. I'm really not. The fact that transphobes cannot describe necessary conditions is so dumb. It's so stupid to me. We're going to do the call-in line in just a second. I just want to thank Malachi and Poo Poo for the tips. So thank you, Malachi. Thank you, Poo Poo. Y'all are real ones for tipping the stream. Let me update the tip goal.
Thank you, Boo.
What I was going to get into was the fact that there are people with XY chromosomes that have gotten pregnant. That we could get into like in the deep. We have like confirmed medical cases of this happening. All right. Let's open up the call-in line. It's actually crazy when you look at like the science behind it. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, I am.
All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Did you say age?
Name, age, and pronouns.
Jasmine, I am 32 and I do not have pronouns.
Do you want to say that last sentence again?
Oh, I said I do not have pronouns.
Oh, you clearly do, because I is a pronoun and you used I to describe yourself.
Okay, well, I guess you chose for me, so there we go.
Okay, so I'll call you I all day? I is your pronoun?
Sure, if you want to. Sure.
Cool. Chat, this is Jasmine. I is going to talk to me. That makes a lot of sense.
Right, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So is there some sort of prompt, or do I just go, or do you have a question for me?
There are multiple topics. Choose a topic.
Okay. And could you please remind me of the topics?
No. Did you not look at them before you called in?
I did. Yeah, sure. Which one would you like to talk about currently?
You can pick any. It's dealer's choice.
Okay, it's your channel, so I'm just giving you the respect of asking you first.
You can choose whichever topic you want.
On the list. Okay, got it. All right, so I also disagree with basically everything
Careful, you
you're
used
saying.
a pronoun again. Be careful.
Sorry?
I just said to be careful. You used a pronoun again.
Why do I have to be careful?
Because you said you don't use them. So I said be careful. You're using.
I said I don't have one, although you chose to assign that one
Yes,
to
be
me.
careful. Be careful. You're using a pronoun,
And
so you have them. If you're
What
using
am I
them, be
being
careful.
What am I being
I'm
careful
just telling
of?
you to watch. You don't want to have pronouns. Just be careful.
I didn't say I don't want to. I said I don't have any.
Yes, so be
And then
careful.
you
You're
said
using a
my
pronoun
pronoun
means you
is-
have a pronoun. So just be careful.
And then you assigned my pronoun as I, so I don't need to be careful. Perhaps
When
you
I asked
do?
you to tell me what your pronoun is, you wouldn't do it. We know it's she, her.
Okay,
We know
fine.
you probably go by she, her,
I-
and you prefer to
thank
go
you-
by she, her.
thank you
and then
for
if
your
somebody came
warning.
in and
I
called
will
you like
heed your
he, him,
warning
you'd be
to be-
upset about that.
Okay, thank you for your warning. I will heed your warning of being careful. However, it won't bother me too much, so
Me
you
as a
don't need to
pronoun, be
remind me
careful.
each time.
Me as a pronoun, be careful.
Okay, you don't need to remind me each time. I got it. Thank you for the lesson.
You as a pronoun.
Can
be
we
careful.
move on? Can we move on?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So like I said, and it will keep happening, Javon. So again, no need to remind me over and over again. But yes, I disagree fundamentally with everything you're saying. And one of the reasons is because of psychology. So psychologically, I personally have a brother who's schizophrenic, and I see when he, in no way am I comparing them exactly, but he dips into delusions at times. And it's easier for everybody when we give in to his delusions. I also went to nursing school and have worked with dementia patients, and delusions are a part of that as well. So I suppose my debate is that transgenderism is, or however you'd like to refer to it as, is a form of mental illness. And it's not that these people don't exist, but my issue is that I've called myself she or whatever for the past 32 years. So it's hard for people to make that switch. Does that make sense? To suddenly have a new vocabulary to choose from.
I don't care about people having a new vocabulary, right? If people can't like get with the program, that's on them, right? When it comes to being when it comes to being transgender, non-congruence has no linking to any mental illness. This is per the APA. If you want to compare shit to psychology, then I would compare it to actual psychology, which is the American Psychological Association, which has said multiple times, including in the DSM-5, that there is no linking to gender incongruence to any known mental illness.
Gender, okay, sure. What about sex?
What about sex?
I have personally met trans people who admit, yes, I have a mental illness. Yes.
I don't care if a trans person admits they have a mental illness. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that they do, right? Somebody just saying like I have a mental illness. It
absolutely does, because these are case studies. These are
who classifies
exact
mental
examples.
Who classifies mental illness in the medical field? Who classifies what mental illness is?
Exactly. Who does? You
the
tell
American
me.
Psychological Association.
Okay, and what does that consist of?
Psychologists.
Okay. So
doctors.
You are a person, right? So a doctor can tell you are a person. But if you tell me you're a person, that doesn't count. Is basically what you're telling me right now.
I don't know what kind of analogy you're trying to make, but that does not line up in any way, shape, or form. What I'm telling you is that when we're talking about diagnosable illnesses.
One second.
Oh, okay,
hold on one second, Javon. Javon,
no problem. Sorry,
I actually really want to debate you, but I'm not here to be condescended, and I'm not here to be talked to like a child. So if you think something I say is stupid, then talk me through it. Don't call me stupid.
Did I say the word
I would
stupid?
like to have an adult conversation. Well, we all know what your intention is, right? You're trying to make me look and feel stupid in order to argue, and that's not an argument.
Point out the flaw in your argument.
Okay, well, do so with respect,
no.
and not in a condescending manner.
No, you set the fun fact. You
Why?
set the tone at the start of this conversation. You set the tone.
I'm sorry?
You set the tone at the start of this conversation. So
why? Because you want to force me to call myself something, and I chose not to.
Because I think when somebody,
think
when somebody stupidly, because I think it's really dumb if somebody owns a car and they go, I don't own a car, but they're sitting in their Ford currently. So when somebody tells me I don't have pronouns,
what does that have to do with the conversation?
Because when somebody tells me I don't have pronouns, and they're using a pronoun while telling you they don't have pronouns, I think they're setting the stage to instantly be disingenuous. You came in disingenuous. You could have just said she, her, and we could have moved on with the conversation. But you didn't because you have some...
How am I disingenuous?
Because claiming you don't have pronouns while using a pronoun is disingenuous.
I am being very genuine. I'm not living my life any different than I have.
Because claiming you don't have pronouns while using a pronoun is disingenuous. Just like if somebody said to me, just like if somebody said to me, just like if somebody said to me, just like if somebody said to me,
telling me that I have to.
I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep talking. Just like if somebody said to me, I don't drive
really
cars.
Tell what you're talking,
just like if somebody told me I don't drive cars while they're sitting in a Ford, I would say the same shit to them. If you have an issue with the way I speak to you, if you have an issue with the way I speak to you,
you would be very valid.
Like if you have an issue with the way I speak,
you'd be very valid for saying that, Javon. You would, and I completely agree with you. If someone says that they're doing something, they're not doing something that they are, then yeah, call them out. I'm with you, 100%.
Jesus Christ! All you have to do is just have the conversation. If you're upset with how I'm speaking to you, I don't know, be a grown up.
I am 1000% being a grown up, hon. What you can't do though is force people to call themselves something that they aren't.
Oh, so
That's
if
you.
I
You
if,
can't force me
wait,
to
I'm
say I have
sorry.
a pronoun. I don't have
sorry.
one.
I'm sorry.
I don't have one.
Just
What if I
confirming.
haven't figured it out yet?
Just confirming. So if I were to call you she, her, this would be incorrect. If I were to call you her, if I were to say she is speaking to me right now, this would be incorrect.
No.
No. Oh, crazy. See how that works?
So what
Thanks.
if I
Thank
haven't
you.
figured out what my
Holy shit.
pronouns are and
Then
I
you
just said I
wouldn't
don't have
say.
any?
Then you
What if-
wouldn't say. No, you wouldn't say she, her. You would give a neutral pronoun. You would give something
No,
neutral.
Not
Yes.
necessarily.
Yes, you would. Yes, you
No,
would.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, you would.
You saw what I did, and
Yeah,
I
you
did what I
would.
did.
You would give a
See,
neutral pronoun.
this is the issue with your
You'd
argument.
use a neutral pronoun.
Okay, sure. You're choosing to do this straw man argument.
There's no
And
straw
I would
man.
like to
Can you
move
define?
on.
Can you define what a goddamn straw man is? Can you tell me what a straw man is?
It means that, yeah. Are you asking because you actually want to know, or?
No, I'm asking because I don't think you know what straw manning is.
Oh, I absolutely do. That's why I'm
Great.
accusing you of it.
Great.
Because
What's
that's
a
what
straw
you're
man?
doing. Yeah. You mean you keep switching subjects, you keep trying to
Switching subjects.
accentuate a word I
switching
say
subjects
here
is
or
not a
there,
straw man.
instead of just allowing me to say my sentence or
switching subjects
ask
is
my
not a straw
questions and
man.
actually
Switching subjects is not a
debate.
straw man. Just fun fact: switching a subject is not a straw man. That would be describing a pivot. You
I
could be
didn't
describing a
say that
pivot.
it was a straw man. I said you are doing straw man and you're also switching
Interesting, because what I
subjects.
asked
But
you to do
I
was
did-
describe to me what a straw man is, and then you said, "Well, you're moving subjects." So then, if that's not
Well,
what a
it
straw man
seems
is, then
like-
can you tell me what a straw man is?
It seems like
did you just use a
as
word you
soon as I
didn't
said
know?
I don't have pronouns, you positioned yourself to be mean and nasty and not have a
No, I
mature
told you what I
debate.
did. I told you what I did. I think you were disingenuous, and that set the tone for the debate.
How?
When somebody comes in,
Okay,
I've already
because
explained
actually,
how.
I
I've already
actually want
explained
to
how.
understand this. I
I
actually
have
do
quite
want to
literally
understand
already
this.
explained how,
How
like,
am
multiple
I?
times. I've explained how multiple times.
I also just want to let you know I'm not intentionally interrupting you. It's kind of hard when you come in halfway, like when I'm already talking. Not to be rude, but
Well, then, I mean,
it
don't
doesn't
ask me to do things I've
come
already
through.
done. Maybe don't ask me to do things I've already done. Like explain
Well,
to you
I'm just
exactly
letting
why
you
I
know
viewed it to be
for
disingenuous.
me and your future callers, it's hard to hear you,
Wonderful.
and it sounds like it's interrupting. Okay, just
Wonderful.
because again, I'm coming at you with respect as a human.
Great.
I don't need to treat you like shit just because we disagree.
Beautiful. It's not. I don't care how you treat me. Like that has nothing. You could call
I
me
know,
every
I
name
know
in the
you
book, and it
don't,
would not affect
but
me.
I care. I know you don't care, but I do care how I treat you. That's how I choose to treat
Great.
everybody, is with respect.
Great. So fine. We'll get back to the topic at hand. So we'll go right back to it. Who decides what is
Mhm.
classified as a mental illness medically? Who makes that decision?
Well, you said it's a psychologist.
The American Psychological Association dictates what are and are not mental illnesses.
Yes, yes.
So if the American Psychological Association
Absolutely.
says gender incongruence is not a mental illness and is not linked to any known mental illnesses, per the book that they write on this shit, the DSM-5, how are you now going to substantiate that it is a mental illness?
Because I know it's a mental illness. There are other resources other than the DSM-5 and the other things that you've quoted that indicate that it is a mental illness, 100%.
Hey,
But if you're-
fun fact. I don't want
if you're-
not-ahs. I don't want not-ahs and because I said so's. Provide a source then. You're claiming it's a mental illness? Give me a medical source
Did you hear
that
me
says
say
so.
either of those things?
Yes, you did quite
Did you hear
literally
me
just
say
said
either of those
you
things?
quite literally just said because I said so. Yeah. You
Excuse
said
me?
because I know it's
Do you
not.
want to rewind and
I'll
rewatch
rewind
that?
it.
'Cause
You
I absolutely did
specifically
not.
said when I asked you, provide me why it's not. You said because I know it's not. Those are the words you used.
Oh my gosh, calm down, buddy. It's all right. It's okay.
If you think I'm not
You don't have
calm,
to
then
get
I really
upset.
need you to. I really need you to like go somewhere. Like who's not
You
calm
just
in this
yelled at me.
situation? Me speaking
You just yelled at
loudly,
me,
me
boo.
speaking at a slightly higher decibel
Anyway.
is not me yelling. You want to hear me yelling? It's a
Okay,
vastly
so let's
different thing.
get past this. Let's get
Well,
past
I would
this.
like
All
you to
right.
provide a source that being trans is a mental illness. Go ahead.
Couple trans people that I know. They
It's not
know
a
that they
source.
have mental illness.
Not a source.
So now I'm going to move
So not
on
a
from
source.
that.
No, we're not.
Doesn't
No, we're
matter.
not. We're not gonna. No,
I'm
yes,
gonna
it
move
does.
on from that.
No, we're not.
And
We're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna move
let
on.
you know
No, we're not. We're not gonna
that-
move on from your claim. You're not gonna move on from your claim. So let's just confirm here. My source is the American
What I'm going to let
Psychological
you know
Association, the
is
writers of
that
the
they
DSM-5.
have told me
I don't
in
care.
detail
I don't
the
care.
issues
I don't
that they
care.
have
I don't care.
with
I don't
being
care.
transgender.
I don't care.
So
I
when
don't
you're
care.
born with a
I
penis,
don't care about your anecdotes.
and then you
don't care about your
feel like you
anecdotes.
shouldn't
I don't care
have
about
that
your
penis,
anecdotes. I
that
don't
is
care about your
in fact a
anecdotes.
mental illness.
I do not. I
There's
do
many
not
people
give.
who
I
want to
do.
be blind
Listen. Listen,
or
I need you to
who
stop
maybe
talking.
don't
Stop
want
talking.
a limb
Stop
and they want
talking.
to remove
Stop
that
talking.
limb.
Stop talking. Stop talking. I don't care
Are you
about your
saying something?
anecdotes. I don't care about your anecdotes. I don't give a shit about your anecdotes. Your anecdotes mean nothing in terms of a debate. You know,
Okay,
trans
sure.
people fucking whoop-de-doo.
Sure.
Provide a source
Yeah, okay,
that
Javon.
being
Yeah.
trans is a mental illness. That's not a fucking anecdote. Something. Do you have a medical paper on this? Do you have like multiple doctors confirming this? Do you have a maybe, I don't know, maybe like some book that goes over like diagnostics of like disorders, maybe some book that talks about this and how medical person. Do you have any of that? No, you don't.
I do, but would you
provide it.
accept it? Probably not.
Provide it. Provide it.
How?
Tell me the name of the study or the source or the book.
And then what?
And then I'll look it over.
You're gonna tear it apart and
I
tell me
will-
why it's not valid and
if
this person.
it's not valid, I'm going to look to see if it's a
It
valid
doesn't-
source. What?
This isn't
Do you
an
know how
actual
debates work?
debate.
You won't
This isn't
provide
an actual
evidence, and
debate.
it's not an actual debate because you won't provide evidence. It's not an actual debate.
You keep trying to get everybody with this, okay? I don't
With evidence?
need to have
With evidence?
I
Yes,
don't have-
yes, that was me yelling, by the way. Yes, I keep trying to get people
Yeah, I
with
know.
evidence because if you're going to make a claim, you have to have evidence to back up your claim. Otherwise, your claim is bullshit. And I have a feeling you
No,
have
you
no
don't.
evidence.
That's why
You-
trans people
yes,
exist.
You do
You don't
have to
need-
back
you
up your
don't
claim
need
with evidence.
evidence.
Yes, you do.
So, okay.
Yes, you do.
Explain this to me then.
Yeah, you
Explain
do,
this to
actually.
me. So if someone says, I
Fucking
feel like I'm in the
stupid,
wrong
bro.
body, and they go to the
Dumb as
doctor,
fuck.
right? Because they want to address it. Then the doctor says, oh, you feel that way? I need proof. Then what? How do you prove it?
How do you prove an internal quality?
Yep. That's what you're asking me to do right now.
No, I'm
So
not.
how do you prove it?
I'm not asking you to prove an internal quality. That would be
Can you just
that's
answer the
dumb as
question?
fuck.
How do you prove it?
How do you prove an internal quality?
Yes.
By talking about it.
Oh,
It's
really?
an internal quality.
Talking about it. An internal quality. Okay.
You're dumb as fuck, bro. Jesus
But
fucking
yet,
Christ.
why are you insulting me? That's
Because
what
you're
is that?
dumb.
That's,
Because you're
that's,
really
that's
dumb.
Actually, that's the sign of a very unintelligent person.
I don't give a fuck
is
what you
when
think
I
it's the
make
sign
an,
of.
When I make
I
an
don't give
argument
a
you don't
shit.
like, you insult me.
No, I have tackled
You're
every
very-
single. I have tackled you. First of all, you haven't made an argument. You've made claims. You haven't made a single argument. You haven't backed up those
So
claims
then
with
why are
quite
you
literally
even mad?
anything.
Why are you mad then?
Because you
There-
won't
there's
back
no
up your
room for
claims.
emotion
Because you
here.
will not back up your
You're being-
claims. Because you will
You're
not
being
back up
very
your claims.
emotional.
It's because I don't give a fuck. It's you will not back up your claims.
I know you don't, but you're
Yeah,
not.
maybe
you're
back
not
up your
debating
claims.
at all.
May-
You're
so
not
you
debating.
haven't backed
You're-
up a
you're
claim. You
Forcing
haven't backed up a
people to
claim.
have pronouns
I don't
and
give a
then
fuck.
treating them horrible when
You
they don't
use
have
pronouns
any.
too, so shut the fuck
I'm
up.
allowed.
I don't care.
I am allowed to not have pronouns, okay? And you don't get to
I
tell
is
me
a
if I do or
pronoun,
don't.
dumb fuck. I is a pronoun, stupid.
Okay, stupid.
So you do have pronouns.
what you
like
say.
I.
Pronoun
That's crazy.
isn't meant to
So you do have
identify
so you
for
do
people.
have pronouns,
A
and they would be
pronoun-
I.
A pronoun
That's
is a pronoun
Pronouns
is not
are
meant to
not
identify
meant
people.
to identify people. Is that the
They are
thing
not.
you just said? So what's the use
They
of
are not.
what's a pronoun for? What's the use of pronouns in the English language?
It's used in sentences as conjunction, right?
To do
they,
what?
them. That
To do
that
what?
is indicating that a group of people.
If I
Right?
point to
Is doing
somebody,
something.
if I point to somebody
I
across
means
the field,
I am doing something.
if I point
Excuse
to
me,
someone
Dumont, if you're
across
gonna
the
ask
field,
me a que- if you're
if
gonna ask
I
me a
point
question,
to
at
someone
least let
because
me
you already
finish
said
it.
you already said
If you're
something
gonna
incorrect.
ask me a question, at
Because
least
you
let me
already
finish
said
it,
something
please.
incorrect. Because you already said
If
something
you're
incorrect.
going to, it doesn't matter if I'm incorrect. A debate
Yes, it does.
is me
No, yeah, it
speaking,
does.
even though
No.
I'm incorrect, and
No,
then when
I'm
I'm
not gonna let you.
finished,
I'm not gonna let you
start.
keep. No, I'm
Do
not
you-
gonna let
do
you
you
keep
know what a
talking if you're
debate
saying
is?
if you're saying incorrect stuff.
You
No,
don't.
I'm not-
You
I'm
don't
not gonna
seem
let
like you
you-
know what a debate
No,
is.
I'm not going to let you keep talking if you say something incorrect. Sorry. I'm going to tell you to stop.
That's not what a debate is.
You
That's
don't know
not
what a debate is because
is.
a debate is a thing where two people argue 2 points with sources and data to back these up, not because I think
Yes,
so. You haven't provided
respectfully.
sources or no. I don't give a fuck if a debate is respectful.
You argue.
Jesus fucking
You
Christ,
can argue
bro.
anything.
Be a
You can
fucking grown-up.
argue an opinion.
Jesus
you can argue
Christ. No, you
evidence.
can't argue
You
an
can
opinion.
argue whatever you
No.
want. You debate
No.
whatever you
Do you
want.
think I debate
However,
fifis? Do you think
the
I
way
debate
you're supposed
fifis?
to debate, the way
Do you
you're
think I
supposed
debate
to debate
fifis?
is to let one person
I just wanna
speak,
know.
and then when they're done,
just wanna know.
then you speak with your
I-
opposing view. That's
I
how
just
that's
want to
supposed
know.
to go.
I just want to know if you think I come on here to debate someone's fifis. I don't give a fuck about your opinion. I don't give a fuck about your fifis. I want actual data to
Sorry,
and
what did you
evidence
say?
to
What
back
is-
up the shit you
I
say.
can't hear you very well.
Yes,
What
you
did you
can.
say?
Yeah, you can. I don't debate fifis. I don't do it. So either provide evidence for the shit you say or shut the fuck up. Those are your two options.
How about you debate correctly or shut the fuck up?
How about you provide evidence for the shit you say or shut the fuck up? Those are your two options.
How about you let me finish my sentences or you shut the fuck up?
The only
You're
thing
acting
I want
like
to
a
hear right
fucking
now,
12-year-old
the
little
only
boy
thing I
in
want to
his
hear
mom's
right now,
fucking basement.
the only
you
thing
act
I
like
want to
your
hear,
mom gives you every fucking thing you want and you're just spoiled. You're just a fucking
The
you're just
only
in your
thing,
mom's basement. Just
yeah, sure. The only thing I want to hear right now
Hello?
is evidence for your claim. That's all I want to hear. If you
So,
cannot
okay,
provide evidence for
fine.
your claim, I'm going to put you on hold until you can. Can you provide evidence for your claim?
You're gonna put me in timeout. You think it? What?
Yes, because
I don't
clearly
care
you need
about
it.
that, Javon.
Oh, okay.
This is what.
She's on hold. We'll do like a 30-second hold. Aw, hung up. Provide evidence for your fucking claims, guys. Seriously, to fucking provide evidence. I don't give a fuck about your anecdotes. I want to hear actual evidence about the shit you say. Not, well, I know because I know. Dumb fuck. Let's just rewind the tape real quick. I want to rewind the tape to specifically when I said, what's your source? And she said, I don't need a source. I just know. Let's just rewind the tape. I want to hear that moment.
Doing something that they are, then yeah, call them out. I'm with you,
Jesus
100%.
I wonder when that was. Does anybody remember when that was?
I actually want to understand this. I actually do want to understand.
Mental illness. Give
Did
me a
you hear me
give me a
say?
medical
Did
source
you hear
that
me
says
say
so.
either of those things?
Are not Here we go. mental illnesses.
Yes. Yes.
So if the American Psychological Society, you could call me
I know,
every
I
name
know
in the
you
book and it
don't,
would not
but
affect me.
I
Here we
care.
go.
I know you don't care, but I do care how I choose. That's how I choose. to treat
Yo,
everybody with
Yerbal.
respect.
Wait,
So
like Yerbal?
We'll get back to the topic at hand. So
Like
we'll
my
go right back
like
to
my
it.
friend
Who
Yerbal?
decides what is classified as a mental illness medically? Who makes that decision?
Yerbal! Oh my God, I
It's
miss
a
you.
Psychologist.
The American Psychological Association dictates what are and are not mental.
Let's
illnesses.
listen in chat real quick.
Yes. Yes.
So if the American Psychological Association says gender incongruence is not a mental illness and is not linked to any known mental illnesses, per the book that they write on this shit, the DSM-5, how are you now going to substantiate that it is a mental illness?
Because I know it's a mental illness. There are other resources.
There it is! Because I know. Shut the fuck up. Stupid as fuck, bro. Because I know. Fucking A, bro. Because I know, chat. She agreed with me that the APA dictates medically what is a mental illness. She agrees to me that the DSM-5 sort of is the guidelines on disorders and stuff like that. And then because I know was her response to me saying, well, they say it's not. Yo, Yerbal, I'm so happy about that, dog. And friend, if you ever need me, I'll be in New York. I think I'm coming back I am coming back in like a week or two. But I think I'll be back in like May, and we'll find time to get back together. All right, there's a lot of people in the TikTok guest request. Let's do a TikTok guest next, and then we'll move on to the next person on the call-in line. Because I know, squad, love it. Love a because I know argument, dog. And then she tried to claim, oh, I wasn't saying, yeah, shut the fuck up. What's up? You here to debate?
Yeah, good morning.
All right. What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Josue, 26. She, her.
Okay. What are you here to debate about?
I'll go with the first one. Trans man, our man.
Agreed.
Can we define our terms?
Wait, do you disagree the
define our
trans?
terms?
Do you disagree the trans men are men?
Yeah, I disagree.
Sure. What terms do you
Can we
want to
define our
define?
term?
What terms do you want to define?
Man and
Well, if we're having the
Define men.
conversation, if we're having the conversation about like are they men or not, then the debate would be about defining the term, right?
No, define man. What's a man so I can know what we're arguing?
Sure, I believe a man to be an adult human whose gender identity aligns with their personal schema on the male sex.
Where do you get that definition from?
It's a
Do you just
definition
make it
that,
up?
well, all definitions are made up, but it's a definition that a friend of mine actually
Did you
crafted.
make it up?
Shout out. No,
So what's her authority? Your
you
friend.
don't need authority to craft a definition.
So you just get all your definitions from your friend?
No, if they make sense though, if they give me a definition that makes sense,
If they
and
make
that makes
to
sense
you,
based
right?
on like
I think
logic.
we usually get
Yeah.
definitions from the Oxford Dictionary.
And this would be, so what you're doing right now is just called an appeal to definitions fallacy by claiming that the dictionary gives us a correct term of usage for any such word. The dictionary is not a prescriptive book, it's a descriptive book. It doesn't tell us how words must be defined. It just describes how we typically define words at any given point in human history. So try again.
No, I think I'm correct.
Do you think the dictionary is a prescriptive
saying
book?
you're correct?
I'm sorry, hold on. Do you think the dictionary is a prescriptive book?
I think I think we get most of our definitions from there. And you just,
Do you think
just
that
don't get
the
them.
dictionary
You just
is
don't get
a
them better when they're not
prescriptive
convenient
book?
to you.
That's the question that I asked. Do you think the dictionary is
Where do you get
prescriptive or
prescriptive?
descriptive?
All right, how do you know what prescriptive is?
How do I
Do you
know
just
what
make up the
prescriptive
definitions?
is? All
Yeah.
definitions. Can you name me a single definition that's not made up?
Well, how do we come up with definitions then?
We just
How
look
do we
at
agree with them?
what we do to come up with definitions is we look at how people typically define any given word at any given time. There's a reason why slang exists. So bad can mean good, right? Because people just started using it that way. Because dictionaries are descriptive. They describe how people use words. They don't prescribe how words
Where do
must
you
be
get
used.
described from? Where do you get described from? Where does your definition from describe come from?
It would be a descriptive definition from the dictionary. It would describe how we tend to use the word describe.
Dictionary.
If
Okay,
we all
so let's use the
collectively use the
dictionary.
word
So you wanna
describe differently, then that definition would change.
So you want to use the dictionary when it's convenient
No,
to you,
that's
right?
not how that works, friend. I know that you can't keep up. I know that the third grade education you received is just not helping right now. But
No, I know that
fun
you don't wanna use the
fact, when I use the word
convenient to you.
describe, I'm using it descriptively, as in this is how we all tend to use this word, right?
Okay, where do you get 10 from?
Where do I get
From
what
the
from?
dictionary, correct? Yeah. How do you know what
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a basic
all
question.
the
What
words
came
you say, they
first?
come from the dictionary.
What came first, the spoken language or the dictionary?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure what came first, people talking the language or the dictionary being written?
Yeah.
Is that a joke?
Oh, yeah.
You don't know if the dictionary came before us speaking the words.
So why? All right, tell me this. Why do you use the dictionary for some things, but then you don't for others?
Because the dictionary is only descriptive. There are plenty of words that aren't in the dictionary. There's plenty of dictionary definitions that I believe not to be accurate when you look at like how things have changed in the world, like scientifically or logically. There's plenty of words in the dictionary that are written because somebody just wanted to describe a word a certain way. No, we're not saying that words have to mean one specific thing. Words can have multiple definitions. They can have definitions that don't exist in the dictionary. Again, what you're doing is a logical fallacy, and it's specifically called an appeal to definitions fallacy.
All right, fair. I guess I'll come back.
Okay. Oh my God, bro. Fucking A. Yo, Painted Piglet, thank you so much for the Venmo. Thank you, friend. I cannot, dude. What is today, bro? All right, we're going to move to the call-in, and then we'll go back to TikTok. Call-in, TikTok, call-in, TikTok. That's how we do these debates. Call-in line is open. Fucking A. Laura, thank you for subscribing over on TikTok for the first time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Boo.
Hello, are you here to debate?
Yep.
All right, what's your name, age, and pronouns?
Anthony. I'm 18. He, they.
All right, Anthony, what are you here to debate about?
Well, specifically, I'm here to talk about communism. I don't want to. I want to say that I'm for a form of socialism, but I've realized there are a lot of people out there who are like, I guess you could say, tanky in their belief, and I just want to be wary of creators who are like that.
Or
I guess you could
tankies?
say.
I don't necessarily
You
have
don't
an
know what a
issue. I know what a tanky is. I don't necessarily have an issue with tankies. They just like Lenin and Stalin's ideals typically, and sometimes Mao's as well.
I get you. Okay, so sorry. What form of socialism do you believe in?
I'm a
Or do
council
you,
communist.
So what? So I myself am a syndicalist. So what do you think? What delineates the two?
I'm not sure what a syndicalist is. Hold on. I think the key difference would just be the councils between syndicalism and council communism, but they might be similar.
I get you. So I'm sorry. I'm curious as to why leftists sort of fight so much. If
why leftists do
I'm
what?
sorry. Look, there's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of leftists infighting in terms of like beliefs.
Well, it's just because not all leftists believe the same thing, right? Like all of us at our core don't want capitalism, but it's just a disagreement on how we get to a post-capitalist society.
That's fair. All right. I'm sorry. I suppose I don't really have much to talk about then. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. Daniel, thank you for the Cash App, Daniel. Thank you so much. Shout out to you. We'll go to TikTok next, and then we'll go back to the call in after. Don't be nervous as long as you come in and you're like I said, I match energies, bro. As long as you don't piss me off, I'll match your energy pretty forthwith.
Thank you, Boo.
Hello, are you here to debate? Okay, guess not. What the fuck? I really wish TikTok's guest request didn't move. So I knew what did someone just call me 4 foot tall? That's hilarious. God, I remember when I used to be 4 foot tall. God, good times, man. Good times. Good times. Someone said Biden thought Angola was a city, and Trump thought Agrabah was one, didn't he? Wasn't that the whole thing? Jovan the Hobbit. How tall am I? 6 foot. Do you say feet? Do I say 6 feet? No, 6 foot. 6 feet. I've always been confused about that. All right, let's bring in the next person. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, it doesn't sound right though. 6 foot, like, right? It doesn't sound right. What other platforms am I on? Twitch and YouTube. Twitch, we got 216 people in here on Twitch. Yo, what's up, guys? I don't claim to be a communist. I am a communist. Seize the means of production over here, baby. Jose, oh, thank you so much, Jose, for the Cash App. Thank you, friend. I'm actually 5'9", but I feel 6 feet in my mind. That's not true. We're the same height? Damn, you're tall as shit. What's up? You here to debate?
Hold on. Yeah, you can hear me?
You're very quiet. Can you speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry. I think that's just my mic. I'm not sure if. Well, yeah. Sorry, but I'm
No,
not really.
you're good.
I'm not really here to debate. I love what you do. Like I really agree with everything on here. It's just I kind of have a question about the abolish police thing. Like, if you believe that the police should be abolished, what do you think is like the kind of solution to that? Like, what should we replace the police with?
Yeah, can I just first get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Jalen, I go by E for real, and I'm 18.
Okay. Yeah, so when we're talking about abolition of police and prisons, what we want to do is we want to abolish the current system that the current like police and prisons operate under, which is a carceral and retributive state of justice, and replace those with a system of transformative and restorative justice. So what that looks like, especially in terms of police, is removing police from their current goal, which is to be tools of violence utilized by the state to protect property, and replace them with a system that's meant for protection of people. So once we do that, in my opinion, they won't be police anymore. People might still call them police. I think they're going to be vastly different because the goal is just going to be different from what the goal of police are. But some people might, want to play semantics and still call them police. I just wouldn't.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And just one more question. So,
Yeah, sure.
what like causes for you to shift towards communism more so than capitalism?
Because communism, it does not allow for worker exploitation, as well as it would not allow for privatized ownership over the means of production. So I think it's unethical when under capitalism you can buy up a resource and then sell that resource back to the people. I believe this to be like an unethical thing. Like if somebody bought a lake of fresh water and then tried to resell that fresh water back to people, I just think this to be wholly wrong, right? So this is why I would tend to move towards communism, because I just believe the idea of private property to be inherently unethical.
All right, I appreciate it. That was pretty much it. Love what you do. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Alrighty, we'll move to the call-in line next. I might need more water. Oh, no, I have water. How y'all enjoying debates today? You liking them? You liking them, chat? Where you going, Rock? Oh, shit. Sorry I didn't see this. But thank you to the people who sent super chats on YouTube. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I didn't see that. I need to have the super chat pulled up on YouTube from now on. My apologies for not having it pulled on. We're open. Call-in line is wide open now. Hello, are you here to debate?
I'm
Hello?
so sorry. My mouth is full. I honestly wasn't expecting you to pick up.
Oh, no problem.
I've been trying. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Let me just. Ooh, try not to choke on myself. First of all, hi, Javon.
Hello.
I'm here.
They hung up. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Taylor, for the $5 Venmo. And thank you, K-Space, for the $100 Venmo. Where's the Naruto headband? It's under my bed. Should I go get it? I'd have to like lift my bed up to grab it. But it fell under my bed like months ago and I've just left it there. But I do have a Naruto headband. You want me to debate in a Naruto headband? For $20 more to the Cash App, I'll debate in a Naruto headband. For $20 more to the Cash App or Venmo, I'll debate in a Naruto headband. For real, for real. As long as it's still back there, it should still be back there. I don't remember moving it. I'd do it for free. As one thing you learn as a content creator, do nothing for free and everything for a price. Make an anime OP of your jingle. Could you imagine? An anime OP? I All right, let's open the call-in line again. Since, you know, that person didn't, their person's phone hung up. And goodness knows. Oh, shit. Okay, hold on. Jamie sent $20. Thank you, Jamie. Hold on, I have to go get the Naruto headband really quickly. It shouldn't be too hard. I have to like raise my bed. I have a thing. So hold on. Oh God, hold on. Where I can just lift my bed. And then once my bed is lifted, I can get the Naruto headband. I also want Naruto pants. Guys, I can't answer just yet. I'll answer once I get the Naruto headband. Then I'll answer. So hold the phone, please. Just hold for me. We are slowly raising. I have a lift top bed, so. All right, let me see if the headband's back there still. I actually, chat, can't tell. Like, for real, cannot tell. I'm being so honest right now. It might not be back here. Oh, hold on. Hold everything. Yeah. And it's still tied together. Let's fucking go. All right. You guys asked for it. Oh, shit. Believe it. That was embarrassing. Yo, kid, thank you for the Cash App. And Tavares, thank you for the Cash App. Middle Earth Runner, yo, thank you for the gifted subs. Believe it. Okay, let's let in a call in line. Let's let in a call in. Guess while I figure out what hold on one second.
Hello?
Hello, you're here to debate?
Yeah, what's up? How you doing?
Chillin'. What's up? What's your name, age, and pronouns?
Nobody Jones, 34, he, him. And shout out to Nameless in chat.
All right, what are you here to talk about?
Capitalism versus communism. I guess we run through that.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to start with definitions?
Sure.
So I define capitalism as privately owned business who owns the means of production in order to gain a profit. That's the main reason they do it.
I think it's a little lacking. I would say capitalism is just the existence of private property to begin with. But I would just define communism in its base sense as the abolition of private property in like its very base form.
Do you take it as far as personal property?
No, communism wouldn't say anything about
like
personal
a
property.
or TV or something.
No, communism wouldn't make any claims about personal property.
Okay, so if I owned a 3D printer and made widgets in my garage and then sold them,
that would be private property.
That
would be private property because you're using it for the creation of a good or service.
So how would you, under your state and or system, what would you do in that situation?
Tell you that the widgets can't be sold and they have to be given to the community if the community needs the widgets.
If the community needs the widget. And do you think that's the most efficient way to allocate resources?
I don't really care about efficiency. I care about what way we allocate resources that leads to the least amount of exploitation and harm. If it's not as efficient, I don't really care. We'll just
like material conditions.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
You care about people's material conditions?
Yes.
So I would say that capitalism is better at raising people's material conditions than
I'd fully disagree.
what you're advocating for.
It's better at raising material conditions for
so
who?
that's where like we could talk about like efficiency. If it was coming to something like a widget or like something as simple as a T-shirt, I would say the capitalists would by far make T-shirts way more efficiently than a communal.
Wait, again, I don't care about efficiency, right? Efficiency doesn't
I know
matter.
you say you don't care about efficiency, but efficiency is part of the equation when we're talking about the best ways to get people the best material conditions.
No, I disagree because
Right? Like, we don't want to be
hold on, can I
inefficient when making
hold on.
T-shirts.
Wait. I would disagree with this because you can be as efficient as you want, but if your efficiency means that some people cannot get T-shirts, then I wouldn't really call this efficient, right? Like, let's say we're talking about like production of food, right? Well, now capitalism might be pretty efficient in food production, but we still have global starvation because there are people who cannot afford to buy food. Meanwhile, if we have a system where everybody's granted these resources, it might take us more man hours and more time and labor to make that food, but everybody's actually getting some of the food now. These would be the differences here.
Yeah, but we don't operate in like a global sovereign state.
Well, I'm a communist, so I believe that we should not have countries
you
that
could like believe in it, but the reality on the ground at the moment is this thing is unworkable, right?
We're not
Like, would
talking
you
about
agree to that?
when we're having a conversation about which ideology is better. We're talking about what ought be, not what is. Right? We would only use what is as a barometer to point out the faults in the ideologies. But like, if we're saying what ought to be, if I'm saying we ought to be communist, right, then I'm making the claim that we ought not have countries and we ought not have like a centralized state, right?
Yeah, and that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But then you're just operating outside the realms of reality. Like,
No.
At that point, right?
No, the globe.
Well,
the
because you're
globe-
advocating for a system, you're advocating for a worldwide system, right? That's in layman's terms.
Worldwide systems are possible.
Yeah, one state, one country, almost in a sense.
Well, no, there would be no state.
I'm not saying I understand you believe in a stateless society. I'm just saying that one community throughout the globe is that appropriate?
No, I think it would be more. I think it would be more smaller communities operating in tandem. You know.
So, do you think that smaller communities wouldn't compete against other smaller communities for resources?
No, not if those resources are just shared equally. No.
But do you think separate communities would share resources? I mean, there's plenty of historical precedent to show that.
Yes, I do think
smaller
they would.
communities actually readily like lean towards violence.
No, I disagree. When we look at like actual evidence of like how indigenous tribes operated, especially in Turtle Island, like the indigenous tribes of California were very much connected and would share their resources with each other, right?
You had indigenous tribes in upstate New York that committed genocides, right?
No, the idea that like indigenous tribes like committed mass violence is like a colonizer I won't say in correction, but it's colonizing propaganda, right? Like our very first instance of people believing, I'll explain to you why. Our very first instance of people believing that like indigenous tribes were violent was when Christopher Columbus like admittedly lied about it so he could get more ships from Spain because he wanted to enslave these people.
He wasn't even aware of the Iroquois.
Yes,
He
that's not what I'm
wasn't
saying.
aware of their existence.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that colonizers rewrite the history of these groups. And when you look at these groups and you hear like their auditory history, it's very rare that you see these instances of like mass violence amongst them.
You're under the impression that the tribes really?
Well, hold on. I'm not saying that the tribes were always peaceful all the time. I'm saying that indigenous tribes of Turtle Island operated primarily peacefully, and that
if you have like one example, but to act as if there was no competition over resources between the tribes and the Americas.
Hold on.
Right?
No, it's not. When you actually look at the like history of these tribes, like through their auditory history, right? They were largely peaceful groups, right? Because they didn't have a concept of private property. So they didn't believe that they owned these resources. Like if they are at a lake, they didn't believe they owned the lake.
So just because you don't have the concept of a private property, you don't have a concept of like hunting grounds, right? So certain tribes would have certain claims to certain hunting grounds, and if another tribe were to encroach on those hunting grounds, there would be violence, right?
No, but
Don't we
this
agree
this
with that?
also no. Well, this also isn't entirely true because there are tons of instances of the fact that these tribes were nomadic. A lot of these tribes were nomadic. They would just go into these areas and then they would be on their way, and other tribes would greet them. There were intertribal communities, there were intertribal governments. Like this again, when we look at the history of violence in indigenous tribes, I use violence in air quotes. It's mostly written by colonizers who wanted to get rid of them. So by painting them as these violent people, they were able to prescribe a moral justification for them wiping them out. Right? They did this with the Trail of Tears, right? There was a massive.
But no, so the Trail of Tears was a forced relocation of the Cherokee.
Yes, but how did they get them to move?
Yeah, by
they were
Andrew Jackson,
claiming the way they got them to move is they were claiming
there was gold in the Smoky Mountains, right?
But not just that, they were claiming that the tribes were attacking settlers, and so that gave them the justification to go in, unalive just a massive amount of them, and then scare them into now going through the trail. The Trail of Tears.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I'm not going to say there was no violence. I'm not claiming there was no violence. I'm just claiming there.
A means to like advocate for communism. I'm trying to draw the line here.
Well, indigenous tribes would be considered communistic in the fact that they didn't believe in private property, right? And Marx and Engels, when they were coming up with their version of communism and how they wanted to write their books on communism, they largely looked at indigenous tribes for how they would do this.
So who owns the land then?
Nobody.
So just nobody owns the land? I can just walk on any land and start farming grain?
Yeah. I mean, you would have some issues if you're doing this in a... Okay. You would have some issues if you're doing this in like in a community, because like the community is gonna be like, what are you doing? You're ruining like the system we have that feeds everybody. But
so the community would assert dominance over the land.
It's not so much dominance over the land, it's that they're utilizing the land to make sure everybody has their needs met. Right?
So they wouldn't want me and my group to come and just use the land to grow watermelons when grain is probably the better crop to grow.
Well, yeah, they probably take, like, if you have a group that comes in, so let's just like run through a hypothetical. If I'm like if I have a communist group and you have a group that comes in and you're like, hey, we're here, and we're like, okay, cool, come on in. Like, what do you need? What do you have? What do you like? How do you want to work with us? And you go, hey, we want to grow watermelons here, and we're like, well, we want to grow grain here. We're gonna have a conversation about it and talk about the benefits and negatives to each. And if your group shows us that it would be more beneficial for us to grow watermelons, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, let's move to watermelons. This is a better thing for everyone.
It's not that it's more beneficial. We just like watermelons.
Then why would we switch to? Then why would we switch? Then we wouldn't switch to watermelons.
We just like watermelons.
Then we would.
Well,
communism,
because it's not your land, right?
Well, no, you're not understanding what I'm saying, right? Just because it's not our land doesn't mean, like, we're not claiming ownership over the land. We're not letting somebody privately own the land. We're all utilizing the land to make sure that everybody has their needs met. So if you're saying we want to get rid of your grain, which is feeding more people and it's a more sustainable crop because we just like watermelons, we're going to be like, well, we don't want you to do that. So leave.
Yeah, but we want to.
We don't care what you want. Communism's not focused on wants.
Like,
we're not worried about what you want.
To grow grain, why do you get to grow grain?
Why do we get to grow grain? Because we all agreed to grow it.
Are you going to put it to like a vote? Like that would be the reasonable solution, right?
Yes, I'm a council communist. I literally believe in voting in worker councils to make these decisions.
So you believe in some form of state?
No, I believe in government, not state.
Well, yeah, a government can run a state, right?
Yes, but there's a difference between like having a centralized state or country and then just like people governing themselves. I believe the people can govern themselves. We don't need a state government governing us.
What's that even mean? What?
What? Huh? What do you mean? What does it mean?
I don't. So, like in America, right? Technically, the governmental structure, you can go vote for representatives. Those representatives represent you. So is that the people governing themselves, or is that the state? I don't know. Can you help me?
Representative government, right? A representative government is not akin to a state. States are countries, right? So states would, like, when we're talking about a centralized state, we're talking about a country.
Okay. So if the whole world was one thing, and then we were all voting, that's not a country?
No,
one
because I
country,
don't
wouldn't it?
think the world. I don't. Well, okay. You can like symbolize it that, but if like the entire world is connected, there it wouldn't be a country, right? Because we don't have borders. We would just be a planet.
It would just be like one. Yeah, it would just be a planetary government state, right?
Yeah, I just wouldn't call that a like. If we're gonna say, oh well, what if we just do the Star Trek thing and we have like a like the Federation that runs everything? Okay, right? Like I'm not
that's a
opposed to
state.
this, right?
So, yeah, so it seems like you agree.
But I
with,
don't know.
like,
I don't know.
having a
I don't know
state.
how much I would call it a state again because it's not a country at that point. It's a planet.
Well, see, I would say that, like, if me and 1,000 people went in the woods and we took over a hill and then we made a group of 10 people to vote for stuff, like, we've just made a state. That's like as simple as that. Like, it's not like most humans will make a state even if there is no state, right? And I guess we gotta like just unblur the lines between state and government, I guess.
Well, again, I would just say that like when we talk about like states and governments, I think there's going to be a size thing here, right? So you might be correct in saying like if we hit large enough that it becomes a state. I don't necessarily know that I'm like beholden to this, right? But I would say there's a difference, like clearly, but like my town's government is not a state, right? It's not a centralized state versus like the federal government, which is.
Yeah, and then you have 50 states within that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would just be my contention there. But again,
I just don't know how you would organize human beings. I guess the main problem we're having, I've seen, is like I don't know if you can organize human in any capacity without a state just naturally rising.
I don't know that I would agree with this because again, we humans were largely stateless prior to at least prior to serfdom and prior to like lordships and kings and queens and shit like that. We were primarily stateless creatures.
Yeah, but we were like wandering nomads living in huts and caves, right?
So?
Like, that's not like a society I aspire for people, right?
Wait, but like so what? So what if we were like that doesn't mean we have to go back to that if we're going stateless, right? Like this idea
So
that we can't like
so I guess the
keep
idea
what we
is,
have now.
Like, do you think you can accomplish mode of living with the complexity of society?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
keep up
especially
with
with
the complexity.
100%, especially with like the way computational power is now, like, right? Like we're going to basically be able to run our entire economies off of like AI pretty soon, like, right? AI models are going to basically be able to tell us like how we need to distribute goods and services, and we're going to be able to automate most of it. So like, yeah, I'd say that
we're not there yet, right?
No, that's why I said it's going to eventually hit this point. Right? We're not there yet, but we'll eventually at this point. Technology is eventually going to make it so that our labor becomes obsolete because we're so advanced technologically that we don't need to produce like labor.
I don't think we're there yet. I mean, it's gonna be a while.
Again, I'm not saying we are. I'm saying it will eventually get this way. Oh shit! What the fuck? Oh, there we go.
I mean, eventually, maybe that's like you're just kind of reaching in the dark. I mean, everything could shut off tomorrow, right? Like we could get a solar flare tomorrow that melts half the power grid, and all that goes out the window. So I don't know if that's like, you're just kind of making unsubstantiated claims, really.
I would disagree that it's unsubstantiated just because we're talking about like what might be in the future, right?
Well, yeah, but you're using that as like you're using that as a means to push forward one global society, and I'm trying to say that might not even happen.
Wait, I'm not saying it has to be one global society. I've already said that it could be small communities that exist. But the problem is I think when people have their needs met, they're not going to seek out this ideal to go like into other communities and like take over, because like what are they getting out of this? They've already got all their needs met.
Well, they get, women, they get, just random stuff. People are pretty
women. What are we?
Yeah,
we're pillaging now. Like what?
Time, right? Well, yeah, it's there's historical precedent for that, right? Especially when it comes to decentralizing a massive area of human beings. Yeah, it seems like violence goes hand in hand with the more decentralization there is.
I guess I'm just gonna disagree with the woman thing. I think we can.
I mean, that might have been a crass example. I agree. I'm just saying that because you said that like people don't want anything, right? They don't need for anything, but there's always something that like a human is gonna want. I don't know if you can meet all the needs of every human, and he's just like, I don't want anything. You know what I mean?
It's not about not
Unless you,
wanting
like,
any. It's not about not wanting anything. It's about them not going. They're not going to receive a benefit from taking over. Like if your group comes and takes over my groups because they want watermelons, why didn't you just go plant watermelons somewhere else? There's
with twice the land,
plethora.
you can grow twice the watermelons, right?
What do you need twice the watermelons for if everybody already has the watermelons?
Because then we
Here's
have
a
twice as
here's
much
a let me give you
watermelons.
a really good analogy here. Let's say me and you. What the fuck is going on with my camera, man? Let's say me and you are at a buffet. Okay. Let's say we're at a buffet, and we both got plates of chicken nuggets, and you eat all of your chicken nuggets, but I still have a ton on my plate. What's easier, trying to take my chicken nuggets or just going to the buffet and getting more chicken nuggets?
You should go to the buffet and get more chicken nuggets.
Yeah, so
But, like,
what's
the
going to be
buffet is
easier?
a farm.
What's going to be
Right.
easier is to just take land that nobody's currently using and grow your watermelons there, as opposed to trying to
Yeah,
take
but
our
what do you do
land.
once all the land's accounted for?
What?
What do you do when all the land's accounted? There's only so much
I don't
arable
know.
land, right?
I agree. There's so. I agree. There's only. Wait. I agree with you.
Wait. You can use Norway for example, right? Norway's arable
Uh-huh.
land is something like 6%. There's not that much arable land. So like, what would you do there?
Yeah, I don't disagree that there's only so much arable land, but right now that arable land is used to make a bunch of nonsense stuff as well, not just like the stuff we need. So my claim would just be that like if we focus our efforts on our needs, right? And we're not growing things we don't need. So like we focus on like not growing things when they're out of season. We don't grow things that yield lower yield crops or destroy the soil when we do grow it. Then like I don't really care. Like watermelons could go extinct and I wouldn't care. Right? If people can never eat a watermelon again, I wouldn't care. If
But
they're
it's not about the watermelon. It's the differing opinions.
no, but what I'm trying to tell
right?
you, is we don't need to be using as much land for as many things as we are.
I mean, you could say that, but like people are gonna grow food, right? Like I don't understand what you're getting at when you say that.
No, all I'm saying is we can if people are being fed and they're being fed diets that are nutritious and healthy, then I don't care what it is they're eating, as long as they are eating stuff that keep like I just don't really care. Like if your crew comes over and they want watermelons, like you have to justify this. If you can't justify this, we're not going to let you grow the watermelons. And you can be like, well, if you don't
justify anything,
well, yeah, you do,
because the land's not even yours.
Wait. Which means it's not yours. Which means it's also wait. But do you not understand? Which means it's also not yours.
Like this reoccurring like confusion when explaining your
no
system
because you keep no because you no
wait,
hold
wait,
on.
wait, wait, I gotta get this out. Under
Fine.
my system, I would just buy land and grow watermelon. Where like you have councils voting on this, it might lead to confrontation. Like what you've described so far, it just seems like by the time you decide what crop to grow, I just grew 3 seasons of watermelon.
Wait, but again, you keep using, well, I can take this land because it's not yours. It's also not yours. Like, that's what I think you're missing here. Like, yeah, it's not mine.
Well,
it's also not yours.
That's the problem.
So why would we
Like,
let
if
you
it's
just take the
nobody,
land?
Then how do we decide on stuff?
This is, but again, humans have been doing this for fucking centuries, bro. Millennia.
No, like groups. So they might have not seen it as like, okay, I go buy some land, I get a deed from the state, I pay taxes on this land. No, it wasn't as complex as that. I'll agree with you. But to act as if like tribes of nomadic humans didn't have areas in which like that they would fight to the death to protect is just.
But they didn't believe they
fine.
owned the land.
No, but I would say they owned it in a sense, yeah. If another tribe came and hunted all the deer there and then their group was on the verge of starving for the winter,
The tribes wouldn't hunt all the deer because they they wouldn't hunt all the deers because our indigenous tribes did not overtake. They did not take what they didn't need. So they wouldn't hunt all the deer because there are way more deer than can feed the tribe.
Well, typically you would hunt the animal to near extinction, and then there wouldn't be enough food.
They
for your
wouldn't
group,
even
and you
hunt
would
it to
move,
near
right?
extinction. They
I
would
don't know
only.
if they were.
I
I don't
don't
know if we could substantiate that they were doing this intentionally, or that the food was just getting harder to find. I don't know if we would ever get to the bottom of that, because we don't really have records of that, right? We're just making guesses at this point.
Yeah, I don't believe there were really any animals that they like primarily took to extinction.
I mean, the mammoth got hunted to extinction.
The mammoth died out because the
What do
Ice
you mean?
Age ended.
No, but humans.
Well, hold on.
hunted
Let me
them to
actually rephrase. We're
extinction.
still in the Ice Age. They died out because I don't believe the mammoths are gone because of being hunted to extinction. I think the mammoths died
Yeah,
from
we
a
thinned the
mix of
herd
things.
to the point where there wasn't enough to mate, right? By the time you got to the last mammoths, when they were building the pyramids, it was an island way out in eastern Russia. They were so inbred, they were going to die regardless.
No, yes, some scientists believe that climate change was the main cause of the extinction of mammoths. As the climate warmed, the mammoths' grassland habitats were replaced by trees and wetland plants, making it harder for them to find food.
Like, to act as if humans never hunted an animal to extinction. Like, come on.
I'm not
you
saying
gotta give me
humans.
that.
Wait, no, I'm not saying humans. Bro, why do you keep straw manning what I'm saying? I'm not saying humans never hunted animals to extinction. I'm saying when we look at the way indigenous tribes hunted,
But you're
they
acting as if they
Jesus
acted
Christ.
communal, that would just solve that problem, right?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm saying if we stop overproducing and overtaking and we only take what we need, this would stop that problem.
But you're assuming that groups of people would vote to do that, I guess, if they lived communally? Like, I don't understand what, like, do you think people still wouldn't want, like, things they liked in overproduced fashion?
I don't care what they want. I'm only focused on the needs of everybody. We can deal with wants later. Right now, there are people starving because they can't afford food. There are people thirsty because they can't afford water.
I would advocate for welfare systems, right? You would just
Welfare
tax the
systems are
population
welfare
and then
systems
dish
are
that
just
money
a
out.
way. Welfare systems are just a way for capitalists to pass the buck back onto us. They go, hey, we don't need to pay our employees a livable wage if the taxpayer is paying our employees a livable wage. That's nonsense. Why should I foot the bill for the businesses refusing to pay people?
Well, you can also up the minimum wage. I don't know what you want. What do you mean?
Well, we don't up the minimum wage.
If there's poor people in the society, we should help them, right? Like, what? You want to advocate to, like, pull our money in one big pot and then use that money to help poor people? Like, what do you mean? What?
I'm saying we shouldn't have to because they should be paid properly for the work they do.
Yeah, but what if they don't work, right? What if they're disabled? What if they're schizophrenic? What
Wait,
if they're
bro,
drug
come
addicts?
on.
What if they're-
Clearly, when I'm talking about work, right, I'm talking about the people who are able to, willing to, and to like do the work, right? We're not talking about disabled people. Disabled people the whole point of communism is that we only take from you what you're able to do. So if you have a disability that stops you from working, you should still receive benefits. I'm saying that when you do work, I'm saying that when you do work for a company and this company devalues your labor so much that you cannot afford the cost of living, then they will instead of raising your pay or offering you benefits, they pass the buck onto other people in the working class so they can hoard their wealth.
I would advocate to, like, bargain collectively. Like, I don't see how, like, removing the private owner from that helps anything, right? Like,
because the workers would not vote to underpay themselves. So if the workers were
They
in
would
charge
not
of the
vote to
companies, workers would not underpay themselves. They would not say, hey guys, let's pay ourselves $11 an hour. I know that we now own McDonald's and we control how much we get paid, but $11 an hour seems fair for us. No, workers wouldn't do this. The private owners do this because in order to maximize profits, they have to pay you as little as possible.
well, yeah, that's the relationship between capital and labor.
Yes, this
Right?
is. I believe this to be
labor's only
unethical.
worth so much money. Like, labor's not like an infinite pool of worth.
Yes, again, I believe this to be unethical. I believe somebody being able to devalue your labor so that they can
Yeah, but the
profit is unethical.
The ethical argument is null and void because I think it's unethical to just seize people's property, right? Like, so you have to make a better argument than
Wait, their
this
private
doesn't feel
property
good to
only
me.
exists. The private property only exists because they exploited the working class. So no, I don't think it's unethical to
Private
steal back what the
property
working class
only
earned.
exists because they
Yes.
exploited the working class.
Yes. Jeff
But,
Bezos only has.
wait.
Jeff-
Working class
Jesus
people
Christ.
own property. What do you mean?
Do we have to get into what private versus personal property is again?
So you're only seizing. So I'm allowed to own a house.
Yes, a house
and
is
if that
personal
value
property.
doubles, that's okay with you?
A house, well, there wouldn't be a value doubling because we don't have it. We're not in a market where we're selling houses. So you would have the house
If
would
you're
have
not in a
zero
market,
value.
If you're not in a market, how do you understand the demand for a thing?
We don't. It's not based. The demand would just be based on what people need, not based on what they want.
Yeah, but how do you
keep-
even?
This
how
is
do
my
you
issue.
even
Hold on.
figure out
Hold
what-
on.
Okay, listen,
This
like
is my.
like
This is my.
If we're
So.
making
This is my
t-shirts,
fucking
right? If we're
issue
making
with.
t-shirts, if we're making t-shirts, right?
Uh-huh.
And I got red t-shirts, I got blue t-shirts. You know how I would decide which t-shirt to keep making? I would see which one sells the most.
We would make both.
I'd be like, oh, we're selling a lot of
We
blue
would make
t-shirts,
both.
so I'm going to sell a
We would
lot
make
of blue
both. Why do we need to choose between what red or blue? We just make both red and blue t-shirts.
Because if you're making red and blue t-shirts and people don't even want red t-shirts, you're literally wasting material.
People would
You're
want the red
literally
t-shirts.
just throwing resources out the window.
People would want the red t-shirts.
You don't know that.
Yes,
you
we
can't
do.
say that.
Yes, we
you
do.
can't just be like people will want
Yes, we
the red
can.
t-shirts.
Yes, we do. Yes, we can.
Well, okay, I guess if you just say things, it's true. Sure, yeah.
Bro, that's what you're doing. All you're doing is you're trying to argue communism using capitalist metrics, and we don't do that. We're not worried about profit. We don't give a fuck about profit. We're not in this to be profitable. If people keep telling us, hey, we want red t-shirts, we're going to keep making them. If every the community goes, hey, we don't want red t-shirts anymore, then we're not going to make red t-shirts.
So you have to
just
wait
ask
for
people.
everybody to tell you instead of just seeing what sells in the market? Like,
You
how
have
do
to,
not see
when you
how
have a
efficient-
market, you have to wait for people to tell you by waiting to
Yes,
see what
I
they
understand.
buy.
That's why I'm telling you the
Oh my
market is more
God.
efficient.
It's the same
It is
efficiency.
just better.
It's the same efficiency, and actually, it might be more efficient to do it my
No,
way.
it's
Because
not. It's
yes,
not
it
the
would
same
be. Because
efficiency.
yes, it would be
Don't
because
lie
we
to
could
these
sell.
people.
Yes, no,
Don't
it'd be
lie.
more.
Don't lie.
It would
Don't
actually
come out
be.
here.
It would actually be way more efficient the way I'm saying. Because what we can do now that since we have fucking smartphone apps, we can say, hey guys, you're gonna get a fucking poll on your smartphone app today. Press a button that's gonna tell us what t-shirts to make. As opposed to capitalism, when you have to wait for a quarter to end to know what your profits were and what was selling properly throughout the whole quarter.
So you're going to use direct democracy for every commodity?
Why the fuck
inside
not?
the economy.
Why not?
That's fucking hilarious.
Why not?
That is
Why
hilarious.
not? That's hilarious is not an argument.
Oh, Lord.
That's hilarious is not an argument.
We're past arguments, my guy.
You didn't.
Like, come on.
You aren't giving one. That's why. I just gave you an
Well, I'm
argument,
trying
and
to-
your response was that's hilarious.
The only thing you explained is like something that would take 4 times longer than just using the market principles.
Market
That's all you
principles
explained.
takes a long time to begin with.
No, bro.
How long is a
If
quarter?
it was-
How long is a quarter? How long is a typical quarter in the market?
3 months. 3 months. What are we playing? 21 questions?
What's fucking longer? 3 months or immediately polling people?
On every single commodity inside of an economic
It doesn't have to
system.
be every fucking commodity,
So
bro.
we got socks, we got to do pants,
What?
we got to do shirts, we got to do cars, we got to
Nope.
do TVs.
No, we don't.
gotta
No, we don't.
Like,
You're just
come on.
making up problems to be upset about. No, we don't.
Like, do you really not see how that's just like you're trying to shove something square through a circle hole? Like,
No, you just don't understand the framework.
I guess maybe. I would rather live in a.
You know how I know?
economic
When
system
I'm
that-
delivering people's food, right? When I deliver people's food, what we do is we then take back the waste or the food that they don't want to eat. So they'll give that back to us and we see what was left. So let's say I have a box full of apples, oranges, bananas, and pears. And I hand that
You're
box
not
to
serious
somebody.
right now,
Let's
are you?
I fully am. And I hand that box to someone. And then the next day I come by to hand them their other box of food and they give me back the food they didn't eat. And I receive back nothing but pears. I'm going to learn the community doesn't fucking want pears. So I'm not going to fucking make pears anymore. It's that simple.
I don't see it as worth advocating for. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You're not seeing it
I
as
think
not a-
most of
not
the
an
things
argument.
you want to achieve can be handled under a capitalist framework. You can just regulate these things.
Except
it's not-
under the capitalist framework, in order for all of this stuff to exist, we have to literally have child slaves.
we don't need child. What do you mean?
Bro, half of
There's
this,
no
half of the
child
global
slavery in
south is filled with child slavery, so that we can have fucking products and items in the
So they
U.S.
should have strong unions. They should have strong unions and strong labor.
How the
codes.
fuck
Yeah,
does a
that's-
slave
yeah.
make a union, my guy?
How does a slave make a union? Are there, in the global south, how many democracies are there?
If they are under slavery
How many
and they have
democracies are in the
people with
global south?
guns
How many
pointed at them,
democracies are in the global
forcing them
south?
to work, if they are if they are in slavery and there are people with guns forcing them to mine cobalt in the Congo, how do they come up with a fucking union, bro?
The Congo's been a failed state for decades, dude.
The Congo is
Decades.
utilized by every major capitalist state to farm resources so they can sell products for cheap and make a buck.
Yeah, communist too, my guy. Communist too. Unless you're
What
gonna
communists?
say that
What the
China
fuck are you
doesn't get
talking
any
about?
cobalt
If
from
they're
fucking
selling
Congo.
shit, they're not communists. What the fuck are you talking about? How do
Okay,
communists sell
okay,
something,
okay.
bro?
All right,
Get the
maybe
fuck
they're
out of
not-
here. The fuck? The communists sell shit too. They're not communists, nigga. What the fuck? Anyway, that's got to be the last one for the day, guys. I do have to call it. I got shit I got to do. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everybody that tipped. Shout out to y'all for getting us our $200 tip goal. So shout out to you guys. I will be back not tomorrow because I have something to do. I might be back like later tonight, maybe for like gameplay in the evening. But I'm gonna catch y'all later. Thank you guys for watching the stream again. Shout out to all of you. YouTube, I'll catch you on the big flippity floppity floopity. TikTok, I'll catch you on the flippity floppity floopity. YouTube, I'll catch you on the flippity floppity floopity. Y'all have a beautiful rest of your evening. Ciao.